It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Live at the Bike. Happy Memorial Day. I'm going to be doing a solo mission in here. Dave Tuckman has gone back to his roots in Long Island. He'll be back here tomorrow. Tonight we're going to be doing a 300 to 500 no-limit hold'em game. 5-5 blinds, 300 min, 500 max. We have some of the usual people on the table. I also ran into Kyle Glass from Tenacious D. He is playing in the 415 America Poker Classic tournament here at the Bike. I spoke to him before the tournament, and I spoke to him during the break. He did a rebuy, and he says he's a big fan of the show, and if and when he busts out, he will come back here, and he was really short at the break. That was about 45 minutes ago, and we have a seat locked up for him in seat 5, so hopefully this will be loads of fun. Let's head over to the table, and let's get into it, and let's go around and introduce the table. Seat number 1, we got the ever-lovable Joe, and that is Chester on 2+2. Seat number 2, we've got Sean. Sean's been playing on the show a lot recently. I played with him 5-10 no-limit game this afternoon. Seat number 3, new to the show, that's Igor. He's sipping on some coffee there. Seat number 4 is Alex. I don't know if he's ever played on the show either. Seat number 5, of course, that is locked up for Kyle Glass. Seat number 6 is Dr. Allen. We've seen him in the big games. He's going to play in tonight's game. Seat number 7, we've got Guy. Seat number 8, we have David. And seat number 9, Englishman, a fine Englishman there. It's Vaughn. He was on the show a couple weeks ago. Vaughn actually talked with me before the show. He travels back and forth from London, and he actually just flew in from London this afternoon. Came right to the Bike. And he's a Bobby, English police officer. So, cool action. Again, we are playing 5-5 no limit. Yellow chips are $5 chips. $300 min, $500 max, bring it up to $500 at any time. Looks like we're going to get in the first hand here of the night. And it looked like Igor led out on the flop with Queen Jack. He got called in several spots, and now he's going to continue to lead. He's made top 2 pair. It looks like Chester... I think Chester or Joe in seat 1, he might have led out with 5s, because I can't believe he overcalled with 5s. Yeah, he had led out. So he checks. Now Igor bets, and now we're going to see a raise here by David, because David has made 2 pair. He's made queens up, but Igor has a higher 2 pair. And David is drawing dead to a 7 here, and it does not come. And Igor is going to double through there with Queen Jack. Sometimes you make that call with a single pair there, your overcard kicker may not be good. If you think somebody's leading out with a jack, well, one of the probable hands that they might be playing is Queen Jack. Well, now you hit your queen for 2 pair, Queen 7, and all of a sudden you're in a lot of trouble, and Igor doubles through David there. As always, you can email me at live@thebike.com, questions, comments, suggestions. I got a lot of emails over the weekend, and I want to encourage people to email me about the video blog. Go over to live@thebike.com, click on video blog. David and I analyzed 2 hands that I played last week. Tell us what you thought of the video blog, if you could follow the action pretty well, how you thought I should have played that hand against Asian Mike. I'd love to hear all the comments. Looks like there's pretty positive feedback from the video blog. You can also follow a live thread. Start on the internet by going to 2+2 spelled out, click on forums. World Poker Tour, etc. official Live at the Bike thread 4/5/29 Memorial Day. Hopefully everyone had a nice barbecue out there. Perhaps they're still a little drunk off a beer. I got to play paddle tennis over the weekend at Venice Beach. A load of fun. Going to see a little raise here by Guy. He's going to open for 15. He's got ace-jack suited. if anyone's going to play with him. No, he's going to take it down without a flop. So again, tonight I want to keep the show very, very interactive, as it's just me in here. It's a 3-hour show. Tomorrow David will be back. You know, one of the other things I did this afternoon, of course, anyone who's a loyal listener to the show, I went over and I posted over in the sporting events forum at 2+2. And the title of my post was French Open, What the Fuck? And you can check out what my feelings on the French Open over there. As anyone knows, my feelings on red clay court tennis. I think it's a joke. I don't think it's real tennis. Joe's going to raise it up here to 35. He's got ace-king offsuit in the cutoff. The button's going to call with ace-king. Sean is actually, he's got ace-queen suited. He calls. Queen-jack is in there in seat 4. And Vaughn is in there with queen-10 of diamonds. A lot of Broadway out there. And unsurprisingly, it misses everybody here. And Alex is going to come out in lead for $20 into a pot that's $140. And now Vaughn is just going to raise him. Vaughn is just going to raise, sensing some weakness. And I assume that is going to get Joe and Sean out of the hand. I mean, Alex leads for 20 into a $135 pot. Vaughn raises with queen high, and he's going to take it down. There you go. Again, a rack of yellow is $500. 20 chips to a stack. Purples are $25. So if you see $25 chips there, they're 25 or purples. And if you see white chips, they're $100. Again, we are playing 5-5 no limit hold'em here. Button's going to move over here to seat 3. Here's a good look at Dr. Allen's chips there, white chips. That little turtle card protector. Word is that he won that from Joe in seat 1 before the broadcast. Got a little mini raise here. It was limped around. Small blind's going to raise it up to 15 more with king queen suited. And he's going to get called in 3 spots here. So we're going to see an $80 pot here going to the flop. Alex, the pre-flop raiser. Well, he's hit the queen. Now there is an ace on there. Nobody has an ace.
50.
And Alex is going to lead for 50 into an $80 pot. And I think that's going to take it down there. Igor, he's got a straight draw to the 10. I don't think he's going to get involved. He does not. And Alex takes it down there with the king-queen suited. So the video blog is something that we hope to do. We'll try to do a new episode every single week. Well, Baron Van Rotota said, Bart, if Kyle shows, you have to introduce him with theme music from Tenacious D. I'm not quite sure if we have. We're kind of on a short staff tonight here for the holiday. I'm not quite sure if we have that capability. If Isaac has any MP3 Tenacious D right at his right side, and maybe is in his power book. He says it's at his house. Yeah. Buttons moved over here to seat 4. Limp, limp. Igor's going to limp in here. And we're going to see this 5 ways. So it's going to be a $25 pot in there with the blinds. Ace 8-9 here with a couple diamonds. Now 2 players are open-ended here with Jack 10. Igor and David. And it gets checked around. Igor does not bet there with the open-ended straight draw. It's a pretty good board, a semi-bluff in there on the button. He chooses to check. He takes the card. Turn is a 5. And now Sean in seat 2. He's made the bottom end of the straight there. He's got the gut shot. He's got the straight to the 9. And David now is going to lead out with the semi-bluff. He didn't bet on the flop. Now he's going to bet on the turn, and I assume that Sean is going to raise. Wow, he does not raise with 6-7. And this might bring Igor in. Well, there are 2 diamonds out there. Sean is not raising here with the nuts. He is not raising with the nuts. And his hand is vulnerable. David needs to catch here a queen or 7. And here we go to the river. Well, the river's a 9. Doesn't change much. It is a 3rd diamond. Sean checks now. And Sean is going to, David checks, Sean bets, and David folds. Sean played the nuts slow there, the 2 diamonds on the flop. Now we're going to get a new player into seat 5. He's going to play over Kyle until Kyle shows up. And his name is Macrum. Macrum had a nice suck out on me on Friday night in the 5-10 no limit game. Button moves over here to seat 6. Macrum is going to post here behind. Joe's going to fold. Sean's out. Igor is going to limp in here with a suited ace, ace-4 of diamonds from up front. Macrum's going to check. Again, he has a suited ace, ace-6 of clubs. And we're going to see this 5 ways. It's a $25 pot. Well, one of the aces has come out here. Ace, 5-8. 2 people have top pair. Let's see if Igor's going to lead out here. Well, it's actually seat number 8 is led out with 7-5. Igor makes the call. Seat 5 overcalls with the ace. And excuse me, it was actually Vaughn that led out. Vaughn led out with nothing, and David overcalls with bottom pair. So Vaughn is way behind here. Here we go to the turn. Well, the turn is the 3rd spade, and nobody has a spade, and this one might get checked around. And it does. And the river is a 4th spade. And I'm trying to see, it looks like the 6 is going to play. Unless someone takes a stab at it here, Macrum, well, Vaughn looks like he's going to bet here again. He's going to bet 40, and that might get it done. I mean, there's almost nothing. Macrum can only beat a bluff here. $40 bet into about a $100 pot. Not that big of a bet there. And the Englishman bluffs them all. And he shows it. He shows it. He shows the bluff. Well, maybe he's got some jet lag there as to some of the card ranks in poker. No, I think he realized that he didn't have anything, and he showed the bluff. Nice bluff there by Vaughn. Vaughn says that he normally drinks Guinness. He said he called me out before the show to talk about the English beers that I normally talk about. But he said he normally drinks Guinness, but of course we don't have Guinness here. We serve Newcastle now. Button's going to move over here to seat number 7. Joe's going to limp in here with pocket 8s in seat 1. Again, that's Chester on 2+2. Well, Dr. Allen's got ace-queen. He's going to bring it in for a raise. He's going to make it 30 to go. Guy's going to call with that trouble hand here, king-queen offsuit. If he catches a queen, how much money will he commit? He is dominated. And Joe is in there with pocket 8s. How about a queen 8 blank flop? Well, queen 7-3, and is Guy going to get into trouble here? It's a $100 pot. Gets checked over to Allen, and he's going to bet 50. He's going to bet half the size of the pot, and Guy is going to call. And Guy is in some real trouble here. Guy makes the call. Joe should be able to get away from this. It's not a draw-heavy board here. It's not like anyone's on really a draw. I mean, sometimes I might lead out with 8s there, but if Joe... And actually, we get a raise here. Guy is going to min-raise. He's going to min-raise it up to 100. He raises it to 100, and with these stack sizes, I wouldn't be surprised if Allen just moves all over the top all in here. I mean, Guy only has another 150 left. I think the right play is to move in here. He just calls. I don't know. I mean, you're not really needing to finagle. The guy only has about 200 left. Turn is a 5. Pot's now about $300. Well, now Allen has called the flop, and now he's going to bet the turn. He's going to bet 100. So a bet, a raise, and a call, and now he leads in, and now Guy is going to move in. And I think this is an easy call here for Allen. And again, we talk about the trouble with king-queen just to play it to hit the queen. Allen makes the call. And this pot is going to be over $600. Maybe $700 here. And Guy needs to hit a king and a king only, and it does not come. And Allen's going to win it there with ace-queen. Great example of those dominated hands losing your whole stack. Ace, Jack, King, Queen, sometimes even Ace, Queen. And Alan's going to double through, and he's going to increase on his chip stack. So again, you know, several emails over the weekend regarding the video blog, and I don't necessarily know. It seems like most of the people follow the pot action, but you know, some people emailed me in with a set of nines hand and said, well, why didn't you bet a little bit on the turn? Well, if I bet a little bit on the turn, this is again referring to the hand, the video blog hand, I can't go anywhere. So if I think I'm beat, I think the right play there is to take a card. Now, some other people say, well, if he checks you on the turn, I think you got to think you have the best hand and you should bet. And, you know, maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I should have moved all in on the turn. But betting 300 on the turn and then, say, folding to a check raise doesn't make any sense. Because the pot is going to lay me the correct odds to try to fill up there on the river. Definitely was a tricky hand. One of the strangest hands I've ever been a part of. Button's going to move over here to seat 8. And Sean looks like he straddled from up front here, so it's 10 to call. And it gets limped around. And we're going to see six-way action here. The flop comes out ace, 8 deuce 4 here. It's like pocket sevens here for guys in the lead. He's over in seat 7, and if it's checked to him on the cutoff, I'd imagine he's going to bet.
50.
And he does. He's going to bet 50. 50 into a $70 pot. It's over to David here, and he's going to make the call here again with second pair with the overcard kicker. He got into trouble before, but sometimes people are creatures of habit. Joe gets rid of the wheel draw. Now, if the queen comes here for him, it is good. Queen or a 4 he needs. Pot is now $170, and the turn's a queen. And he made queens up again here. Unbelievable. See how Guy is going to proceed. He checks. David now is going to bet. And again, with this board, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you continue on here with sevens. It's really not draw heavy. He bets 80 into a $170 pot. The pot now is $250, 80 to call. And there isn't a whole lot that Guy can beat here. I mean, you figure if a guy had 5-3, he might take the card here. I mean, an advanced player might use an overcard as a scare card. But I don't really know if the queen changes much here in a normal hand. In this case, it does, but I mean, to put this guy in queens up here, maybe queen 8, but to put him on queen 4, a little bit difficult. Guy's trying to get a read on him, and he's going to fold. And I think we're going to do the first chip count of the night here coming up. Button's going to move over here to seat 9. And I think we're going to do a chip count next hand. Again, the buttons move. Okay, we'll do it now. Got $4,400 here on the table. Looks like Dr. Allen's leading the table with $1,350. Let's take a look at how they've been doing. Again, this game's been going for about a half an hour before the show started. Allen is up there to $850 with that ace-queen hand. Vaughn's up a little bit to $150. Guy's the big loser so far. Going to see a little raise here by Guy with king-jack offsuit. And he's going to get called in 2 spots out of position, so $60 pot here going to the flop. Queen 7 deuce. Looks like seat number 5, Macram's got the best hand here with 9-7 of spades. Gets checked to the razor. Guy takes the card. The turn's a 10. Guy's now picked up an open-ended straight draw, and now he's going to bet the king-jack. Queen 7 deuce, 10 on the turn.
35.
Guy's going to bet 35 here. Surprised Allen there. He limped in there with ace deuce offsuit. And now Macram's trying to figure out, I mean, check calling is not always the best strategy in No Limit Hold'em. He makes the call here. Now he's good right now. He doesn't want to catch 2 pair because that would give Guy a straight. Guy has a lot of outs, but he misses. And it looks like Macram is checked here, and I believe the guy is just going to check right behind him as he missed, and Macram is going to win it here with 7-9. Macram takes it down. Basically, Station on 2+2 said, "What was the bad beat, Bart? We were playing like three-handed, and I'd straddled on Friday night, and I raised it with King-Queen. He called. The flop came King-High. He bet, I raised. He moved all in, I called, and he had King-Jack, and he made some sort of running straight. That was the suck-out." I mean, I had a good night on Friday, but I got to tell you, this month's been a little bit slow for me, but the variance has absolutely killed me. I mean, I should have 5 or 6 more buy-ins than I do this month in that 5-10 game. Vicious, vicious suck-outs. Pocket Jack's here for Guy. He's going to raise it up.
25.
He's going to make it 30. David is going to call with Ace-Jack offsuit here. Now, Sean's got Ace-King suited in a small blind. Looks like he might come over the top.
100.
He's going to make it 100. Now, I have a feeling the guy might put all his chips in here, but I don't think it's a clear-cut raise all in. I mean, I think with Sean, who's a very tight player, re-raising, the only thing that you are hoping for here is that he has Ace-King. I mean, queens, kings, and aces, you are in big trouble. If he has Ace-King, obviously it's just about a coin flip. But Guy, I mean, the night has not been going that well for him, and he's going to push in. He's going to move all in here for, looks like another 175, or 100 total, because it was 75 more.
165.
So it's 165 total, which means it's going to be another 90 for Sean to call, and it's an easy call here with Ace-King. The pot is going to be laying him about 3-1, and Sean does call. Now we can see that one of the aces are dead. One of the jacks are also dead. And this pot is going to be about a $450 board run. Sean against Guy, classic race situation here. And I think Guy might be fuming if he loses this one. Here we go to the flop. Well, there's the ace in the door. Top 2. Guy's going to need to catch a running straight. Well, he could catch a queen or the case jack, and it does not come.
I have ace jack.
And Guy's out of there. Sean doubles through, or he felt Guy there. I mean, once you put that re-raise in there with Ace-King, there's just nothing you can do. You're not going to go away from it getting 2 or 3-1, obviously. The only thing that you are huge dog to is aces or kings.
I have ace jack. Done.
Button moves over here to seat 2. And Igor's got pocket queens here in the small blind. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot else out there in terms of hands.
If you get really sick of it, we can switch. This one's easier.
Limped pot here by David with ace-7. Seat 9 limps in with 8-9 offsuit, and I assume Igor is going to raise.
Or, I mean, it's just, yeah.
And he does.
That one's sunk.
40 more.
That one's sunk, and that one's sunk.
He's going to make it 40 more, and he's going to take it down here without a flop. Igor there with pocket queens. Igor, what is that? Is that a Russian name, Igor? It is normally a Russian name.
Plus somebody was mad at it the other day.
So I assume that, looks like there was a little bit of happenings over on 2+2 today. When I went to PM someone, it wasn't allowed.
Good. How are you doing?
But then it looks like I'm reading the Ed Miller update post, and everything seems to have been fine. What you should do, change your passwords. There you go. Button moves over here to C3. Igor. Yeah, apparently. Yeah, it can be sometimes a big pain in the ass. I guess what the thing is that somehow, Isaac, somebody hacked into 2+2 or something, or created a malicious link where when people clicked on the link, they were able to catch some people's usernames and passwords. Now the issue is that a lot of people have the same usernames and passwords on a poker site that they play for, so obviously that's very dangerous, and I think that's what the recommendation is. flop comes out here, ace 4-3. Vaughn is going to bet 20. And anyone, if I'm wrong, anyone can correct me. But from what I had skimmed through, that's what I had read over there. And look at this, new player coming into seat 7. That is another Joe. So maybe we can make seat 1 Chester and seat 7 Joe whenever Ronnie has time to do that. Might make it a little bit easier. I actually played with seat 7 as well this afternoon. Seemed like a really tight player. Kind of a tight lineup here tonight. $40 raise here by seat number 8. He's got pocket queens. That's David. Dr. Allen's got pocket 8s, and he makes the call. I don't know if David is really that deep. Well, the flop comes ace, king, 9. And look at this. Dr. Allen is going to come out and bet here. He's going to bet with the ace and the king, and I don't know if David can continue here with queens. It's a horrible flop for queens. And look at that. Allen has used the ace and the king, and he's going to take it down. Nice play there by Dr. Allen. The wry smile on his face. And the turn would have been a queen. Seat 8 would have made a set. So again, we are anxiously awaiting Kyle D from Tenacious D. Hopefully he will be joining us on the show tonight. Tonight's tournament was $200 no limit, I believe, with multi-rebuys. $50,000 guarantee. Tomorrow night is $300 no limit with no rebuy. Wednesday's $300 no limit with 1 optional rebuy. A lot of no limit tournament action here coming up in the next week. America's Poker Classic here at the bike. Igor's going to raise it up here. He's going to make it 25 to go. Oh, that's great work there by Ronnie. So Igor's made it 20 more here. And Joe is going to call here with 8-6 offsuit. David's in there with pocket 4s. And Vaughn is going to call with a dominated king 10. Is Vaughn going to get into trouble if the king flops? Well, queen 10-3. Looks like Vaughn's outflopped everybody. And Vaughn is going to lead into this flop. He's going to bet 45 here. It looks like Igor's played it pretty tight. I like the bet there. And that is probably going to get it done. Can't imagine that David is going to continue here at pocket 4s. But he makes the call with pocket 4s. Wow. He is way behind. The turn is a diamond now. Can David represent diamonds? And now he moves in. And now I think we might see 2 bluffs here right in a row. He's represented the diamond here. So I guess he might look at it like, well, I've got 9 outs to diamonds if I can get him off, or a 4. He has moved in here on the diamond. So David has moved in here for about $120. It's about a little under a pot-sized bet. Vaughn really only has a bluff catcher, but you know, you look at it and you wonder, well, could the guy have just called me with King Jack? And now he's moving in? Trying to represent a diamond? Vaughn obviously can't beat a queen either. Guy could have flopped 2 pair, and Vaughn gets out of there, and David's going to win it there with pocket 4s. He uses the diamond there as a bluff card. Button's going to move over here to seat 6. Looks like I'm getting a lot of flack on 2+2 about my red clay personal views with tennis. I don't know. I just don't think it's tennis. I like to think of tennis as kind of serve and volley. None of this moon ball, dirt ball bullshit. Can't put the ball away. Yeah, this is coming from a guy who plays paddle tennis. Igor's limped in here with king queen. Give me Wimbledon. Give me a fast court any day. Any day of the week. 3-way action here. 8-7 deuce here with a couple clubs. Checked around on the flop, turns a deuce. checked around once again. The river's a 9, and now Joe in seat 7's got a 9, and he checks it. And he's going to win it here with Queen 9. Again, you can email us with any type of long strategy question, hand question. I'm making a special folder here on the desktop. And we will go through them, and hopefully, we will pick a couple, 1 or 2 a week, in conjunction with the hand that we have to analyze on the show, on the video blog. Email here from Niels van der Linden, first email of the night, saying that he liked the video blog a lot. It was very clear and interesting. Concerning hand 1, the leading out on the flop was very interesting. I think he would have bet you all in with a combination like flush draw plus gut shot or flush draw plus pair. But like you said, he knew you would probably raise him with a multitude of hands like overpair, 2-pair, set, flush draw. So outbetting a naked flush draw would make little sense. He also says, P.S., one of the best matches I ever saw was a semifinal at the French Open back in 2000 between Rafter and Agassi. Well, I know that Rafter was a big serve and volley type guy. And, when Rafter and Sampras played the French, and Sampras, he never even made it past the quarters, and I don't really remember ever him playing or watching him play the French. Did they not serve and volley on the clay? Did they tend to stay back at least on the second serve? Or was it just still, trying to play their game? I mean, Federer usually serves and volleys on a fast court, but I saw him in his first round match, and he wasn't doing a lot of that. And that was today. Dr. Allen's got pocket kings here, a couple of cowboys, and he's going to raise it up here to 35. Joe at 7-9 offsuit, he's going to fold. Now, the small blind's going to call here with pocket 8s, and that might bring in Vaughn here with pocket deuces, and that does bring him in. So here we go. It's about a $110 pot. Dr. Allen with a couple of kings. And a couple of pocket pairs in there. Oh, ace jack 7. I'm sure Dr. Allen didn't want to see that card, but his hand is good right now. Gets checked on when he's going to lead forward with the continuation bet.
75?
He's going to bet 75 here. Remember, David last time made the call with a hand that he probably didn't think was good and then bet the river on a third diamond. This time he chooses not to live dangerously. And Dr. Allen is going to take it down there.
Thank you.
With the pocket kings, and he has done pretty well for himself now in the first hour of the show, first half an hour of the show. Again, we stream live cash games every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Catch us tomorrow night. We'll probably be doing maybe a 5-10 no limit game, $500 min buy-in, since we've done this game, which is our normal Tuesday game here tonight. And seat 9 there, Vaughn the Englishman, he's picked up pocket queens in the small blind. And he is going to raise.
25 more?
He's going to make it 25 more.
Call?
And he's going to get a quick call here from Joe, or Chester, in seat 1 with Jack 10. Now, is Joe going to come in with King Jack offsuit? He calls. Definitely like Jack 10 a lot better. Seat 8's going to call with Deuce 4 offsuit. It's about a $120 pot here. Vaughn, the pre-flop raiser with queens, and there's the ace, but no one has an ace. But he's going to lead out anyways.
40.
He's going to bet 40 into a $120 pot. Chester is out of there. Joe is going to get out. And David is going to call here with Deuce 4. He's got middle pair and a gut shot to the 5. And the turn's a queen, and Vaughn makes a set of queens. And I assume he's going to bet out here again. You hope the guy has an ace. You keep betting, try to build yourself a pot up.
100?
And he's going to bet 100 here. And David is going to get away from it. Looks like Vaughn's drinking a Dutch beer over there. And the river, Rabbit Cam shows a 4. So David would have been in trouble there.
No, there's no numbers. He's got to...
David probably would have gotten himself into trouble when he makes trip 4s there on the river. Can you believe it? I don't mean to give bad beats, but again, I posted this over in Pad Beats and Brags on 2+2, that I have entered 4 double shootout tournaments on PokerStars, $160 double shootouts. I played yesterday on the 4:30 Pacific time one, 7:30 Eastern time one, and I got second place again. I have finished second in 3 of the 4 double shootouts that I have entered, second on the final table. And in the other one, I was heads up with the guy on the first table with about a 5-1 chip lead and managed to lose. Second place 3 times in the double shootout. I can't believe it. 6-way action here, limped around. 10-5-4 here with a couple spades. Jack 7 of spades here for Sean. He's got overs and a flush draw.
20.
He does not bet. Dr. Allen is going to come and bet here with middle pair. 5-7 of hearts. And Vaughn here, Joe is going to raise it up here. He's going to make it 60 to go with King 10, but look at David's hand. He's flop bottom 2. And is he going to slow play it? He just calls. A bet, a raise, and he just smooth calls with 10-4. And Vaughn can't overcall here with 9-10, can he? A bet, a call, and a raise? Wow, he makes the call. Unbelievable. And now for Sean, you got to think with all those callers in there, you might not be drawn to the best flush. And I don't blame him for folding. He easily gets Dr. Allen out of there. And David, who slow played bottom 2 pair, has the best hand here with 10-4. Here we go to the turn. The turn is an ace. 10-4 is still good here. And if you're Joe here, you might think that somebody might have been on the nut flush draw. He's going to bet 75 here. And look at this. David's going to move all in. That's going to get Vaughn out. And it's going to be a little bit of a math problem here. $75 bet, a call, and how much more is it? 70 more for a pot that's about $300. So he's getting about 4.5 to 1 here. If the guy has an ace, he's in big trouble. He might be drawn to 5 outs here with 1 card to come. And if the guy has an ace with the spade draw, he's in more trouble. $70 more here for about a $3 or $350 pot. He's saying 2 pair or deuce 3. Trying to figure out here. And he's going to make the call. And he's drawing live. He could catch a king, he could catch a 5, or he could catch an ace. Well, the river is a queen. That's no help. 10-4 is going to win it. David slow played himself there on the flop. I don't know if that's the type of flop you want to slow play. But he does. And he's going to take all the money. He's going to double through there.
The cards speak for themselves, not what the players say. The cards speak.
Again, anyone that didn't check out that video blog, head over to liveatthebike.com.
If you show your card,
Click on the video log. You can also catch out a lot of other stuff on our website. Of course, you can click on the archives, the on-demand banner. $14.95 a month gets you access to all of the past shows. I was actually watching a past show from September 16th of last year between two Live at the Bike favorites. If you scroll to about the 2.5 hour mark, you'll see a doozy of a hand.
500 behind.
Again, that was on September 16th of 2005.
Chips, please. 00.
Also check out under our commentators a couple links to David and our interviews that we've done with the circuit. And I did an interview with Rounders the Poker Show, sports radio out of Vancouver. Got a $35 raise here by Chester. He's got pocket 7s.
30 more?
And wow, look at this. Joe is going to call with ace-4 offsuit. And David is going to overcall here with jack-10.
3 players.
Well, the flop comes king, king, deuce. Not a bad flop here for 7s. Chester is in the lead.
50.
And Chester's going to bet 50 here. And he is going to take it down. Well, you know, it's interesting. I sit there and I thought that Joe in seat 7 had played it pretty tight over there in the 5-10 game when I was playing this afternoon, but a couple of the hands he's played have kind of raised some eyebrows here. I mean, ace-4 offsuit from up front to a raised pot. Very difficult to play that hand, of course, out of position.
I know over there it's still binding.
Button moves over here to seat 2.
I mean, like at Commerce, people over and over again, people are getting so upset because they've been taking the money. When you forfeit.
Email here from Johnny Burke. Someone emailed us last week regarding the question floating. And Dave and I were kind of unsure as to what that terminology was. And this guy's pointed out, as we said last week, that floating is when you call with nothing with the intention of bluffing the player out on a later street. A couple people had talked about how Alan Groening there and, on the World Poker Tour did a lot of floating in the LA Poker Classic, which was on last week, calling with overcards with nothing with the intention, I guess, to maybe bet the guy out in position.
Use your cards turned over. I've never played in a casino where the cards didn't speak about what was going to be wrong.
Yeah, it seemed like Alan got a little bit,
Can't speak.
he got a little bit lucky. He made a kind of a questionable call with King 8
He thought he was bluffed,
offsuit,
and I thought he was bluffed.
heads up.
But then he turned over.
And he actually posted on 2+2. Apparently his opponent was raising almost every time with the button, and he figured that King 8 was, an above-average hand.
That's what I thought it should be.
And,
I wish he would have mucked.
figured that there was a really good chance that he was ahead, and he made the call. Limped around here. Six-way action. Ace 9-5 here with a couple of hearts. I got a funny story about that hand, and I'll get to it in a second. And Vaughn is going to lead out here with pocket sevens. He bets 25 here, and Sean is going to call with 7-9. Calls a second pair. Joe is going to overcall. Now, is Joe floating here with King Deuce of Spades? And we got another player that overcalls. Well, the turn is a 3. David overcalls with pocket sixes. Now, Sean still has the best hand, and Vaughn's going to bet again.
60?
He's going to bet 60. That gets Sean out of the hand. Joe folds. I mean, was Joe trying to call there to pick up backdoor spades? I mean, David is overcalled with sixes here, but now the guy's fired twice. And Vaughn, I mean, if you ever go back and watch the show, you'd be surprised what these guys are calling you with. So, okay, here's a funny story. And I need to preface the story by telling the producer, Evelyn, that this is totally legal, what I'm talking about. There's this herb called Salvia divinorum. It's legal to buy. You can buy it in head shops. You basically smoke it out of a pipe. And, again, it's totally legal. And it kind of rips you, kind of gets you, like, on a 2-minute trip. Pretty, like, intense trip. And when I was playing in Venice Beach, paddle tennis this weekend, I stopped in a head shop and I bought some 20 extract stuff. And I took a hit of this stuff out of a little water pipe that I had during the final hand of the WPT that I had TiVo'd between Alan and the other guy. And I got to tell you, for 3 minutes, I didn't know what poker was. I was trying to figure out King 8 against Ace Jack. It was the funniest thing. Oh, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. Got a raise here by Sean with Ace 8 offsuit. Joe is going to call here with Jack 10 of hearts. So Sean's raised it up here with Ace 8. The flop comes 6-3-3 here. It's missed both players. Let's see if Sean follows through with continuation bet. And he is going to bet.
45.
He bets 45. And he takes it down. You know, it's funny. Sometimes you can find these things that, may become illegal like in 5-10 years, but aren't now. Again, you can just go and buy it at any store. It's totally legal. But I couldn't really comprehend what was going on at the table. Like, I was thinking, poker? What is this? It was insane. To do that on that last hand with King 8 against the Ace Jack was totally crazy. The button moves over here to seat 6. Isaac, you never tried that stuff before? You've heard of it before? Yeah. Jack 10 of hearts here for seat number 3. Actually, seat 4 is limped in here. Seat 3 is limped. Seat 3 is limped in. Seat 4 is limped in. Igor's got the Jack 10 of hearts. 5-way action here, limped around. Ace 8-8 here on the flop. Well, Igor's got a flush draw here. A couple people have weak aces, and it gets checked around. Well, the turn's a king. Igor has picked up a straight draw as well here. Again, I really like to semi-bluff out there on a pot, especially when people might know that I bet an 8, I bet a flush draw. If I was Igor, I probably would have fired. And now Joe's going to come out and bet with Ace 4. Igor calls with a flush draw. And Alex is going to call here. He picked up the king. And the river is a king, and Alex has got top full house now. It gets checked over to Alex, and he's going to bet. He's going to bet 35 here. Kind of a little bit of a call me bet. I mean, Joe, his kicker, it would be real tough for it to play. I mean, they play aces and kings. He doesn't have a kicker that plays. He plays aces and kings with an 8 kicker here. So he's calling to chop the pot if the guy has an ace. He makes the call. And you got to start piecing through your head. I mean, how many people would really just bet an ace there on the river? And Alex takes it down there with kings full. Let me make a suggestion to all of you out there that might try that. Don't take too big of a hit and start out with the 10 extract stuff. Build your way up. Build your way up. Button moves over here to seat 7. Sticky Icky Salvia. Purple Salvia. So Joe is over on the button. New player coming into seat 5. Any word on Kyle Glass? We haven't seen him around there, Donna. So I guess he is not knocked out of the tournament yet.
4 players.
Limped around here 4 ways. Well, ace-5 king. Seat 4 is playing ace-5. He's flopped top and bottom here. 2 pair. And he's going to bet.
20.
He's going to bet 20. And he is going to take it down there. Again, we were playing 300 to 500, no limit, $300 min, $500 max. Yellow chips are $5 chips, purples are 25s, whites are hundreds if you see them on the table. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. I hope you guys had a barbecue or something. So we got a new player coming into seat 5, and he knows he's actually playing over Kyle. That's Bennett in seat 5. I don't know if he's been on the show before. And he's going to buy in for 300. That is the min buy-in here in this game.
Seat 4 is a previous rock star as well. Yeah. That's why he wears the big shades. So people don't recognise.
30.
Let me get a raise here. Raise here by Joe. He's got Queen Jack offsuit. He made it 30 to go. David is going to smooth call here with pocket 10s. And Chester is Chester gonna call here in seat 1 with 5-8? He makes the call, 5-8 offsuit.
3 players.
So we're gonna see three-way action here. About a $90 pot, Queen Jack pocket 10s and 8-5. Well, Ace King 4 here. Chester checks it. Joe's gonna make the continuation bet. He's gonna bet 40, and I gotta think. I mean, if you're gonna play 10s this way, I would assume that you would release here, right? But he makes the call. Wow. He doesn't want to hit his set, because if he hits his set, Joe makes the Broadway straight. Well, the turn's a deuce. Let's see if what Joe's going to do here. And it goes check, check. And the river here is an 8. I mean, if I'm going to call there were 10s, I'm probably going to bet the turn, probably try to bet the guy off the hand. I mean, I can only really beat pocket 9s. I can't even beat pocket 8s yet. But it gets checked down. And the only thing I can beat there is pocket 9s, you know, pocket 7s, Queen Jack, Queen 10, something like that. Obviously, I can't beat a king. Interesting stuff so far here. Button's going to move over here to seat 9. I gotta tell you, man, I mean, everyone who's gotta, I really gotta pump up the archives now, because with the way that Joker Gaming has laid it out, it is great over there. Totally organized. I actually watched the show over the weekend from February 9th of 2005. It had Jonas, it had Gore, it had Corporation Mike, it had Mo, it had Dr. BB, and we weren't even calling him Dr. BB yet, we were calling him Robert.
25.
I mean, it was great. Because we didn't really know some of those guys at the time. Got a little $25 raise here by Vaughn in seat 9. And Joe is, maybe Joe's hamming it up here. He's called with deuce 9 offsuit. David is also going to call here with 7-10. Actually, excuse me, we are heads up here. Deuce 9 against 6-8. Well, ace 10-3. Let's see if Vaughn throws the continuation bet in here. He does, and he's going to take it down. I mean, I wonder if Joe is hamming it up there, calling with 9 deuce off suit from out of position. And that is seat 5. Seat 5 actually laid down pocket threes. That's Bennett. He would have flopped a set of threes. Not sure if Bennett has been on the show before. He has been on the show, I'm getting word. Button moves over here to Chester in seat 1. $30 raise here by Vaughn. He's got pocket 9s, and Chester easily gets away from Queen Jack off suit. An easily dominated hand. Bennett looks a little like Phil Hellmuth there with those glasses, doesn't he, in the hat? A little bit? Yeah. It's a little bit older. Button moves over here to seat 3. Big blind in Bennett in seat 5. Vaughn is really, he's in command of the table over there in seat 9. He's been bluffing, he's been betting out, and people have just been calling him with very speculative hands. Limped around here.
5 players.
5-way action. Jack 10 deuce here with a couple of hearts.
20.
And Dr. Allen's going to come out and he's going to bet with ace 10. He's got the best hand. He's going to bet 20. And he is going to take it down there. Again, it's kind of a little bit of a tight table here so far. I saw Barry Woods in the house today. He said he's going away. He won't be back until next Wednesday. Button's going to move over here to seat 4. Barry told me, he said, my wife's working, I'm not. I came to the bike today. Let's take a look at another chip count here. Second one of the night. And here we go. So over 5,000 on the table. Dr. Allen is still leading the way here with 1,300. Let's take a look at the differences here just from before the show. Dr. Allen is still way out in front.
30.
You can see that the table is in positive because the guy that lost the most amount of money, which was seat 7, Guy, he's gone. It's going to get limped around to Igor here in the cutoff. He's going to make it 30 to go with ace-queen off suit. Joe is going to call with king 9. Seat 8 is going to call with 4-5. And is this going to bring Vaughn in with a suited king 5? Boy, that's a really difficult hand to play out of position. Remember, look at Igor's chip stack. He doesn't have that many chips to be making these calls with these hands. $120 pot, and there's the ace. Well, David's open-ended here with 4-5. There are 2 hearts on board.
100.
Igor's going to bet 100 here. And let's see what David's going to do with the open-ended straight draw. He's going to call. So Igor's going to need a deuce or a 7 here. Maybe he can also represent hearts. He represented a diamond flush before. Pot is now $400. It turns to 10. I got to tell you, if I'm Igor here, I probably hope this guy's got a weak ace and I put him in here. I mean, if he's sandbagging me, he's sandbagging me. With these stack sizes, there's too much value to not bet and get called by a weaker ace here in this spot. And he moves all in here. He's going to move all in. And that is less than a pot-sized bet. I mean, he bets 300 into about a $400 pot, so if the guy had ace-9 or ace-jack here, it would be a $700 pot, 300 to call. And David's still calling here, thinking about calling with the draw, when he has got a total dry straight draw here. Nothing else working. His pairs, if he caught him, would be no good. He's drawing solely to a deuce or a 7 here. It's a $700 pot, 300 to call. And last card there on the river is an 8. The guy wouldn't have made it straight. Now, if you're in a deeper game, obviously there's different ways to manipulate the pot size there on the turn with ace-queen. If you think the guy's sandbagging something, You could bet a little bit weak, take a showdown on the river. You could check the turn.
belongs to somebody else.
I mean, if you check the turn, you might let the guy get there on his draw for free. But you might not want to build the big pot with ace-queen. Again, we talk about pot building with your big hands. Well, ace-queen on a flop of ace-3, 6, 10 is not a big hand. It's a good hand, but it's not a hand that I want to build a $4,000 or $5,000 pot up with.
Table, they recognize you.
Limped around here. Buttons moved over here to seat 5.
Four players.
And there's Dr. Allen's orthopedic surgery card. Ace, ace, 5 here on the flop. Nobody has an ace. And a little $25 bet here by Joe. And he's going to take it down. Post here by Renix on 2+2. I don't normally see him on the thread. He says, I don't usually post in the thread, but I had to chime in and say that the video blog is awesome. I hope you guys do many more of those. Well, thank you. I also had a couple of emails saying that they would hope if we had the technological capabilities that we could somehow possibly, you know, do something with the button, like state where the button is with the graphic or some sort of pot size amount. Of course, we'll grow with that as we go. But I think, you know, we will continue to do episodes of the Inside Straight, but in terms of being able to do something at least once a week,
Raise.
the blog is something very quick and easy that we can just film here in the booth. Well, it's limped around, and David is going to raise it up here with pocket deuces. He's going to make it 60 to go. And he takes it down there. Button's going to move over here to seat 7. Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I'll do the next video blog under the influence of salvia. Right. Believe me, it is not possible. You could just film me here, though. Butt moves over here to seat 7. Gonna get folded around in the blinds here. Well, it's folded over the button. He limps in.
No shot.
And we're gonna see it 3 ways here.
Throw a wrench in it,
8, 7, 5 on the flop. Looks like David's got the best hand here in the pair of 5s. It's checked around. Turns a queen. David still has the best hand. Checked around once again. And the river's a 5, and now David's got trip 5s. I assume he didn't put any money in. Are you kidding me? Oh, there we go. Now he bets. He's going to bet 10. And he is going to take it down. Well, the next hand I'm going to let you guys hear without commentary. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Live straddle?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing it. I didn't read that one.
10 to
When
call.
you do play every hand, those are the days when you don't flop the call now.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. No, it was the right decision. Doesn't mean I...
Call. Six players. $30. 50.
Good pickup.
Tens and deuces with an 8.
I knew it.
Didn't look like I missed much there. Pair of 10s with an 8 kicker takes it down. We're already done with the first hour of the show. We got 2 hours left. Again, email me. I'm lonely here. Seems like it's a little bit of a slow night out there. People maybe still be enjoying their Memorial Day. Oh, yeah, I just got word that Pajado is on vacation. Where'd he go? Indiana. He went on vacation to Indiana? What the hell is that? That's like going on vacation to Delaware. Hello, I'm in Delaware. Remember Wayne's World? Hello. We're in Delaware.
25.
Got a $25 raise here by seat number 8. So seat 2 called, and seat number 7 is called. And the flop comes out Queen 10-6 here.
65.
And we're going to see a $65 bet here by Sean with the ace-10. And David is going to raise him up here with Queen Deuce. He's going to raise him up with Queen Deuce right away. And I don't think that Sean can continue here. I mean, the problem here, though, for David is that he is pretty much committed to his whole stack. I mean, if you're going to play kind of a shorter stacked game, would you really commit there with Queen Deuce? I mean, you can't necessarily go anywhere if the guy comes over the top of you, can he? So, email here from Chris Hejik, Hejlik, talking about a strategy question. A round of applause there for the dealer. And again, I'm going to pull that email to the side. Looks like it's an interesting question. We're going to go over there. There's a hand for Brian. All the strategy emails we're going to pull to the side, and we will read them, and hopefully your strategy emails will make it onto the video blog or onto the Inside Straight. Thank you for the email.
Only 22.
Chris Hejlik.
Baby Grace.
I'm sure she's got a mother's good look.
Exactly. Back to the game. 35.
Buttons moved over here to seat 1.
Deal already.
Yeah.
And Joey's going to make it 35 to go here with pocket 9s.
Thank you. Wait a second. You've got some candy.
And he is going to take it down. Email here from Dale, 100 Mile House, British Columbia, Canadian Fury says, Bart, I realize it's legal, but you just happen to have a little water pipe with you, eh? Maybe you should come up to British Columbia and we'll try to make some real use of that for you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were waiting for
Well,
you to come.
I actually bought the pipe just for that reason. Being totally honest with you, I don't do any of that other stuff. Button moves over here to seat 2. He said, on another note, could you explain what fold equity means? I hear it all the time, and I'm curious. Well, of course, fold equity is talking about when you're making a bet or raising somebody, you know, what the chances are of the guy that laying down the hand. I mean, with a semi-bluff, you have fold equity because when you bet or you raise, there's always a chance that the guy's going to fold. So that's the power of the semi-bluff. Your hand might, obviously it's not good right now, but coupled with the fact that you might improve with a draw and the fact that the guy might fold his hand makes it sometimes profitable. And it's a very useful tool. Got a raise here by Vaughn with pocket queens, and Chester's going to call him with 4-8 suited.
There's a ring at the door of a bordello, and the madam comes to the door, and there's a guy with
The button also calls with 6-5, and Joey's in there with king 4 of diamonds.
says, I rang
So it's
the
a
bell,
$160 pot here. Vaughn with pre-flop raiser with queens. Well, there's the dreaded ace. But again, if he bets here, I don't think anybody can call him. Now, he's bet really weak.
50.
He bets 50 into a $160 pot, and unless someone's going to make a move on him, that's probably going to get it done.
What, the start of the contractions? Probably about 5 hours.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about how Brian's
I'm often reminded I took a day.
Brian's
First kid.
turn was a queen, river was a 9.
But now I have sleep deprivation.
Yeah, Brian just had a baby boy. Is that right? Baby girl. Baby girl. 9-pound girl.
That's true. You heard, huh?
That was that was last week we made that announcement. No.
He knows all about me.
She was only in labor 6 hours. That's what Donna's telling me. Is that short? Really? Yeah. Again, when my dad was born, he was 13 pounds. 13 pounds. Limped around here.
Okay, we got 5-way action.
5-way action. Queen, Jack, 6 here with a couple clubs. And scene number 7 here, Joe, he's going to lead out for 15 with bottom pair. That looks like it's going to get it done.
The first one?
And it does get it done.
Thanks, buddy. No Sopranos this week. Thanks.
Oh, Jay's in Chicago. Well, that makes more sense for vacation.
Yeah, that hurts me bad. I just got the.
We got another email here from Niels van der Linden talking about insurance given in online poker. Proposing deals with the proper equity in the pot. I guess Poker Room is offering it now? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if you just write down what it's about, there's no way that.
Of course, if you're doing it for a living, and anytime you can get some sort of deal where it's positive EV, whether it's through insurance. I mean, we saw in high stakes poker, Barry Greenstein gave
I thought you were talking about big one.
Phil Hellmuth insurance. And Phil Hellmuth was talking about how he could call Phil Ivey up anytime, and Phil Ivey would give him insurance. Because, of course, the insurance isn't the proper amount. Barry Greenstein gives Phil Hellmuth that insurance, but it's not the proper amount, so it's always going to be positive expected value for them to give Phil Hellmuth insurance. I mean, if there was a way in a card room that you could actually split the pot by proper pot equity, I mean, I guess I would do it. There really wouldn't be a point to not doing it. It would totally eliminate variance. We had a raise here. I believe it was by Bennett with King, Queen offsuit. And we have 4 people at call. The pot is about $185. And Vaughn's hit top pair. He bets 40. He has really bet small every time he's come out and bet. And now Chester's trying to figure out what to do here with 7-9. I mean, Vaughn does have the best hand here. Chester's out. I mean, is someone going to come over the top of this guy? The problem here for Bennett, though, is I don't necessarily know if he's deep enough. I mean, if he came over the top of him, I don't know if Vaughn would go anywhere. And again, the problem with insurance, though, especially if you're dealing with someone who's a recreational player, well, they're here to gamble. They're not going to take insurance. That's why some guys don't run it multiple times. But if you're talking about a bunch of table of pros to take all of the variance out of the hand, I mean, you could always split the pot up by proper pot equity. But the way that you actually make money by giving somebody insurance is when you don't give them the proper pot equity. You know, say that Barry Greenstein's all in with kings and Phil Hellmuth's all in with aces. Well, Barry Greenstein gives Phil Hellmuth, say, 3/4 of the pot instead of 4/5 of the pot. Barry Greenstein's always going to make out in the long run because he's not giving them proper pot equity.
Options player.
Go ahead.
Limped around here.
5 players.
5-way action. Jack 9-8. Well, Igor's got ace-jack here from up front.
Can I get a porter?
And he's going to throw a little $20 bet out here.
No, you'll love him. He plays a coked out lawyer. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to take it down, I would assume, and he does.
He's always partying, getting hookers and stuff.
Button moves over here to Joe in seat 7.
Season's on DVD if you want to rent it. Catch up.
5-5 no limit, 300 min, 500 max. Yellow chips are $5 chips, blues are 1s, purples are 25s, whites are 100s. Another week started live at the bike.
They just ask for too much money, or?
Looks like we got pocket 4s over here for Vaughn in the big blinds. Not a whole lot else out here. Button,
It's not officially.
and they might chop this up here.
Which means that they're all gone.
No, Button's got ace-3.
And Mills is already working on.
And he's going to bring it in for a little bit of a raise here. $25. David's going to call with 8-9 of clubs, and that's going to bring Vaughn in with pocket 4s. We've got about a $95 pot here going 3 ways. King, king, queen. Well, it's missed everybody. Vaughn actually has the best hand here. See if Joe can make that continuation bet. But Vaughn is going to come out and bet again. 50.
Yeah.
And he's going to take it down. And there it
That's
is.
a good one. Welcome to Deadwood. It can be combative. Might be my favorite swearingen moment. I do have a knife. It's right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's all like, come to me now.
Button's going to move over here to seat 8.
He's my brother, you know.
And that's Vaughn. He said he's wearing a fine English shirt, too. That's what he wanted to point out to me when I talked before the show. He said, you guys gave me a little bit of crap about English, being English, so I'm going to wear a fine gentleman's English shirt. There it is. I don't know necessarily why that constitutes an English shirt. I might be missing something. Six-way action here, limped around.
Oh, I love those monologues.
7-6-3 here with a couple of hearts. And we got Vaughn is flopped here. He's flopped it straight, and he checked it. I wish he would have come out and bet that little $40 bet like he did before.
35.
Vaughn has the absolute nuts here. Seed 8 is going to bet 35 here with 3-5. And Vaughn is going to...
That's probably information he doesn't mind having.
$35 bet here on the button with 3-5. A pair and a straight draw, but Vaughn has got the nuts here. There's 2 hearts. And I assume that Vaughn is going to raise it up here a little bit. No, he just calls. I just don't understand it. The backwards play sometimes that we see in these games.
What do you do now? Yeah, you missed it.
I assume that Chester is not going to chase here with 2 hearts out here. I mean, the problem for Vaughn here is what is he going to do? He's out of position. Is he going to check it?
Give me too much respect here.
Is he going to check it to David? On the turn? It's going to be interesting to see how this hand plays out. I don't know what Dr. Allen's thinking. I don't even know if he knows it's his turn here. I'm going to come out and say I think Dr. Allen probably doesn't even know it's on him
Yeah,
right now.
I love that. I love they better.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't know it's on him right now.
Sir, do you know you have cards?
Yeah, there we go.
I actually didn't.
I mean,
Well, that wasn't obvious. So let's see how this is going to play out here. Well, the turn is a deuce,
I went for my food.
and it looks like Vaughn is going to lead out here, and it's the deuce of hearts. And he bet 75 here, and now he doesn't necessarily even know if his hand is good. And again, it's not an issue of the fact that he's slow playing his hand because it's vulnerable. Although in this case it might be vulnerable. What if David had top pair, like ace-7? Now he might just fold on the turn because it's a third heart. If he actually led on the flop, at least he'd get a call by David. In this case, he check calls, then leads on the turn, and he kind of makes the absolute minimum that he could have made in the hand. I mean, even if he had check raised on the flop, he might have gotten a call there. Email here from Daniel Phelps saying, vacationing in Indiana during this weekend could have been a good vacation over this holiday weekend. The Indy 500 is notoriously known for being an excellent place to party. And there's a lot of poker near Chicago and Louisville. A lot of fishy poker. So don't knock it till you try it. Well, I stand corrected. Limped around here. 3-4-10 here. Now Vaughn on the button. He's got a big hand. He's got a wheel draw and the nut flush draw. Sean is going to lead. Actually, excuse me, that's Chester who's got the ace deuce. He leads out. Sean calls. Again, Chester has got a big semi-bluff hand. He can catch a 5 for the straight. David calls with 4-5.
3 players.
And you wonder if David's going to go bust here. A 5 would make 2 pair for both players. Oh, excuse me, no. Sean is open-ended. Well, the turn's an 8. That doesn't change anything. Let's see what Chester's going to do now. And Chester's going to make a big semi-bluff. He's going to bet 150. And this is sometimes not in people's arsenal. I like the bet here. His hand is big enough to continue to push to get somebody off of week 10. A lot of people, someone might take just one shot and then check it down. But he's got 2 draws going. He's drawing to the nuts, and he's going to take it down there with the semi-bluff. It's a nice bet there by Chester. Email here from Dave Jones. He says, in California, anything that gets you high is illegal, unless, of course, it's pushed by a doctor or a liquor store, which is so true. And he pointed me to a site, urewid.org, which is a great site about psychoactives. California analog law. Yeah, this is a bit of an oxymoronic law, isn't it? Anything that gets you high, because by definition there are a lot of other things that are legal that get you high, right? Cigarettes get you short high, obviously alcohol, any type of prescription drug.
45.
Caffeine, maybe? I mean, it's all relative, right?
5 to 45.
Bennett is going to raise it up here to 45 with ace king of diamonds. David is going to call with king queen offsuit. Is Vaughn going to get involved here in this really dominated hand?
Two players.
And we are heads up here. Ace king against king queen. So Vaughn gets out of there with the ace jack, but David is dominated with his king. And there's the king. We've seen it twice here, and you wonder if king queen is going to go bust here again. We saw it earlier with seat 7 that was Guy, and I have a feeling that David is going to double Bennett through here with the king. Bennett came out and bet 100 right away, and David is thinking here.
5.
It is very, very difficult to win a big pot with king queen, but you certainly can lose with king queen. And look at this. There it is. David's going to need to catch a queen here or he's going to bust. Second time we've seen this with king queen. A lot of times you'll see it at this level and at higher levels. Turns an 8. He needs a queen and a queen only. And the river is a king, and they're going to chop it up. Look at that. Wow. Ugh, that's a bad beat for Bennett there. Chop it up there. King's full of 8s. Ace king on the river.
I didn't love it. Yeah. I was thinking, what could ruin this?
Email here by from Stephen Landvit. He says, "What is a prop player? Do we have prop player over there as seen under definitions at all? No. Well, we might add that to the website. But a prop player is basically someone who's paid by the casino to help start games. Usually get an hourly, and you get some sort of reimbursement for your drop. David and I started off here at the bike as prop players. The problem with being a prop player is as you get better and better, you'll see that the amount of money that you are paid by the casino does not make up for the amount of money that you lose with having no game selection. And game selection is more than half the battle when playing serious poker for money. I mean, it might be a good way to start off. I mean, kind of like look at it being semi-pro. If you want to start and say, hey, poker might be something that I might want to do for a while as my sole source of income. Well, you might want to try propping for maybe a couple months just to get you on a schedule and get you playing, at least 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day.
And then I flopped it.
Sean's in there with the ace-9 of clubs. Vaughn's got king-queen. And Sean raised it on the button. Vaughn is going to come out and bet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not?
He is going to bet 35 here. And Sean doesn't have anything here. And he's going to raise. He's going to raise it up to 100. I was wondering when someone was going to come over the top of Vaughn, but this time I don't know if Vaughn's going to go anywhere here. With king-queen.
It's nice because it's colder. Cold out there. It's nice cold.
And Vaughn is going to call. And we are heads up. And Sean's in big trouble here. Turns a king. Vaughn's got top 2 now. His pot is $300. $325 goes check, check. Sean takes the card. The river's is 6.
200.
And now Vaughn is going to bet 200 here, and I think Sean's going to get away from it.
C9 bets 200.
And there it is.
That's it, sir.
Also, P.S. Does Alan wear a piece? If so, please slap it off onto the table. I've gotten that question so many times over the last couple of weeks. Is Alan wearing a disguise? He looks like the guy from Weekend at Bernie's. I love Alan.
Yeah. No, it's the Queen or King.
Yeah, we got a new player coming into seat 4, and that's a different Alan. That is Alan in C4. That, of course, is not the that's Alan that we're talking about. I believe Alan here in seat 4 is a dealer.
No, it's one of those poker hands.
But moves over here to seat 3. That's Igor. Five-way action here. Very good email here from Barry McCallum, and I'll get to it in a second. Ace, Queen, 8 here on the flop. A couple people have queens. Queen, 8 here for Igor on the button. He's flop bottom 2. And he's going to bet. He bets 20. I don't think anybody's going to get involved here. Wow, David is going to call with 8-9. If he hits his trips or if he hits his two pair, he's in big trouble. He is virtually drawing dead to a backdoor flush here or running 9s. Well, the turn is an 8. And I got to tell you, for Igor, it's continue to bet here. Oh, excuse me, it's a queen. It fills Igor up, and he continues to bet. I love the bet here. David has picked up the flush draw here, and I don't think he's going anywhere. So many times people check a made full house here on the turn. I love to bet the guy in. Build yourself up a pot even at these levels. But David is going to actually get out of there. He picked up the flush draw. You wonder if he even picked it up. I just see that so many times. So anyways, we got an email here from Barry McCallum. He says, C2 has straddled multiple times now and hasn't raised. I think unless you're raising or re-raising out of the straddle a minimum of 1 out of 5 times in a full ring game, you're just throwing money away in a bad position. Hey, I can't agree with you more. That's a great email. If you are straddling, you definitely need to be raising there with a bunch of limpers. Granted, on a passive table like this, there's no worry about players raising your blinds all the time, but a good player in late position should pick up on it and raise nearly every time knowing you wouldn't defend it. And that's the reason why I don't really straddle in full ring games, because I know that if you're straddling in a full ring game, you definitely need to be raising a fair amount of times out of the straddle spot, and I don't like to be putting money in out of position.
7 players.
7-way action here, limped around. I mean, to straddle and just to always check it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, in a short ring, on a short-handed game, when you straddle in position, especially in a 3-handed game, I think it's a great move. Straddling on the button or straddling 4-handed in the cutoff. Ace, queen, jack, 6 here on board. Got checked around on the flop. Checked around here again on the turn. The river's a 6. Who's got the best hand here? Are they going to chop this one up? Everybody plays the board. Don't like your cards. We're going to see a 7-way chop. 6s with an ace, queen, jack. Unbelievable. And one guy mucked his hand already.
I knew I did a bet.
Somebody folded the hand. I think it was Sean in C2.
I knew I did a
He
bet.
folded his hand.
What are we all thinking? See, we had to muck his hand to get 5.
Yeah, Sean folded his hand.
All right. That's the kind of exciting
The
stuff.
button moves over here to C6.
Anyone makes a bet, someone goes over the top.
Wow, that was like a 7-way chop. That's one of the first ever on the show. Limp here. Buttons over in Dr. Allen's hand with the ace-7. That was easy for me to see that it was a chop because there was no check marks by any of the names. Got a raise here by Dr. Allen with ace-7 offsuit. C8 quickly calls with king-jack, a very difficult hand to play out of position. Chester's in there with pocket 6s, and Sean's in there with 8-9.
Okay, we got 4 players in the pot.
And we're going to see 4-way action here.
Oh, actually, you're on the radio right
9-4-5 here. Well, Sean's got the best hand here in seat 2 with 8-9. But Chester is going to come out and bet 75 here with pocket 6s. There's only one over. And I don't really mind the laydown there by Sean. Chester betting into the razor. You've got the razor next to act after you. Not really the big type of hand you want to get involved with. Email here from Michael Sullivan says, "Hey Bart, I enjoyed the video blog. I didn't have much trouble following it, but there are programs that will animate what happened in the hands so that people could follow the action. It looks like internet poker. I don't remember the names of these. Ask on the air and someone should be able to tell you." Oh yeah, somebody shoot that information on there. I don't necessarily know if that would work with our system, but it'd be a nice information to hear. Again, you can email me at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions. As always, much appreciated. Butt moves over here to seat 8. Four-way action here, limped around. Here we go to the flop. King deuce deuce here, and we got Jack deuce here for Chester. Is he going to lead out here from first position? And is Igor going to get involved with king queen? Now Chester watches the show. I couldn't tell if he checked or if Chester bet in seat 1. Seat 1 bet 10 and Igor called. So Chester bet right out with trips. The turn is a 6. And Chester bet 60 here, and he's building himself a pot here.
60.
And does Igor really put him on a deuce here? You know, Igor's a very tight player, and if he thinks he's just, you know, wow, Igor gets away from it. Wow. That's a good laydown. But again, if Chester leads out with his draws, with pocket sixes like he did last hand with the trip deuces, very effective, and it gets people to be scared of your bets. When you lead out with your draws, with your trips, with a pair with a paired board, just top pair with a paired board. Button's going to move over here to seat 9. Vaughn the Englishman.
Now that you've been rejected by Johnny Chan, you're ready to play. Okay.
I got to tell you, I've said it on the show before, but you're going to hear more from me in the upcoming weeks, and I'll get to it in a second. As this pot is limped around. He makes it 30 to more on the button. Vaughn is raised with 7 deuce of spades. He made it 30 to go. Sean is called with ace 4 of spades. And Joe's in there with queen 7 of clubs. Here we go to the flop. Well, ace 9-6. Very difficult hand for Sean to play out of position. He might call one time if Vaughn bets here.
100.
And Vaughn's going to bet 100. And is Sean going to get involved? Sean quickly calls. Well, the turn's a queen. Check, check. And the river's a 3. And now Sean is going to throw a $100 bet out here. Kind of a little blockish bet. And Vaughn is out of there. So anyways, you're going to hear this from me. I am the biggest U.S. soccer fan you've ever seen in the world. Uncle Sam's Army and so forth. You won't even see me during the World Cup. I'm just coming out of my house during Live with the Bike. I'm going to TiVo the early morning games, watch it. What do you think of the U.S.'s chances to get out of the group? They drew a very difficult group, but it seems like the Czech team is in somewhat of turmoil. And I don't even know how good the Italians are.
Way better than you.
You know, that style of... I definitely could see the U.S. drawing 0-0 to them, 0-0. I'm just really irritated that Mexico got a seed, because Mexico's got a walkover group. And everyone knows who the better team is between Mexico and the U.S.
5 players.
5-way action here. Limped around. 8-5-3 here with a couple of hearts. Looks like it's missed everybody.
Lately, the props have been raised.
He doesn't have cards. 25.
A little $25 bet here by David with a gut shot wheel draw, ace high. It's probably going to get it done.
It's all good. It's all good.
And we still have not seen Kyle Glass come out of that tournament room, have we? Oh, man. Oh, well, we're still having fun here at Live with the Bike. 300 to 500, no limit game.
You can't take it off. You gotta lose it first.
Button moves over here to seat 2. Sean?
Give him 50.
Bet blind.
Here, just give it. I'll take it.
What a deal.
Exposed card, jack of spades.
Pocket 6s here for Joe in seat 6.
Raise it to 50.
And he's going to raise it up to 50 here.
Good timing.
I don't think he's going to get called by anybody. He does not get called by anybody.
Oh, that didn't work, guys.
Joe's going to take it down there with pocket
Hold
6s.
that hand if it's not strong. Hold the hand. There you go. See?
Someone just told me in my ear that Johnny Chan is here, really? Did he play the tournament? Can't imagine that. Although, you know, you'd be amazed. Ben the Master plays a lot of these little tournaments. He actually is from Bell Gardens. You know, play in like little $300 multi-rebuy tournaments. Button moves over here to seat 3. Pocket queens here for Bennett in seat 5. He's in the big blind. Pocket 10s for seat 3 on the button. You imagine this gets limped around here to Igor. He's going to raise with 10s. And he does. He makes
25.
it 25. Wow. Wow. I think if you're Bennett here, you're going to come over the top. Wow, just a little mini re-raise. He makes it 60.
Man, must be strong. Your hand shaking. Caffeine. Is that what it is? Shit, give me some, bro.
David has got, looks like ace 9 suited. Big laydown for him. He folds. Chester's out of there with ace 4. Well, it's back over to Igor. I think it's 45 more for him to call. Bennett has 200 in front of him. Wow, what a laydown. He lays 10s down there like it's nothing. And he showed it. And Bennett showed the queens. I gotta tell you, I think it might be time for somebody to, might be time for somebody to put these bluffing shoes on, because this game is going. There's the bluffing shoes there that Cheryl made for us. Cheryl, of course, she was on the show and had a little birthday party here. What was it, a week and a half ago? And she handmade these bluffing shoes. Look at this. Are you kidding me?
What? Not you, bro. I'm talking to them.
But moves over here to seat 6.
Alan?
Limped around there, 5 ways. 7-7-4 here on the flop, and Chester's got trip 7s here, and I bet you he's going to bet it here from seat 1.
15.
Well, look at this. Dr. Allen's going to come out and bet with the flush draw. He's going to bet 15. And David is going to call with king 9. No, he raised. He raised it to 40, and I got to tell you, if Chester's been watching the table, there's no way that David in seat 8 has trip 7s. I probably might 3-bet re-raise here. But it looks like Chester just calls. There is no way in a million years that David has trip 7s here. I just don't buy it. And I think he is trying to call to see what Allen does behind him. Allen calls. So now it's an issue of kicker, but Allen is on a flush draw. He does not have a 7. Well, the turn's at 10. Allen checks. And David is going to bet here again.
80.
He's going to bet 80. And I got to tell you, if I'm Chester, I think Chester's concerned about what Allen has in seat 6. I don't think he's concerned about David, but I think he's concerned about what Allen has. He's trying to... Yeah, he's going to raise it right now. He's going to raise it up to 200. But again, David had absolutely nothing here. And he's going to fold. Obviously, Chester's a good enough player where he's watching the game.
You got it. Just tell them to listen up.
And I think you can tell that a player like C-Day is never going to raise with trips on the flop. Never, ever. I would be shocked.
There you go. Exactly. No?
Button's going to move over here to seat 5. Ace-king here for the small blind. Dr. Dave, or Dr. Allen in seat 6. It's actually Joe in seat 7 who's got the ace-king. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other hands out here. And it's going to get folded, and they might just chop it up here. And they are going to chop it. They are going to chop it up. So he doesn't even get to play the ace-king.
That was the one. Well, that feels like an ace. Chips? Oh, you guys are
But he's going to move over here to Dr. Allen.
Anybody got an empty rack underneath them?
Email here from Mickey Nygaard. He says, "Hi Bart, great job as always. I was on a poker cruise recently, and the cash games was filled out of straddle, re-straddle, and so on. The 1-2 no limit game would be straddled to $32. Now I'm going to Vegas in a couple of weeks, and I was just wondering if it's likely that I'm going to run into something similar. Really sucks when you have to sit there and wait for like pocket 10s or ace queen or higher to get your money in." Mickey, well, yeah, that's strange. I mean, that's something that we don't allow here. I mean, you can straddle, but you can't re-straddle. And I assume the places that you can re-straddle, all those people have options. So they're live straddles. That is a little bit peculiar. Well, Chester's got ace-king suited here in seat 1. And he's going to raise. He's going to raise it up, looks like maybe to 35. Bennett is going to call here with ace-10 of hearts. Dr. Allen is going to call with pocket sixes. And all the aces are dead. I was going to wonder if Bennett was going to get in trouble if an ace comes, but there are no more aces left in the deck. Wow. Joe calls with ace-8. Seat 8 calls with 7-9 of hearts. 5-way action, $175 pot. Jack, deuce, jack here. Nobody has a jack. Dr. Allen's good here with pocket sixes. If it gets checked to him, I wonder if he's going to throw a bet in here with sixes. I probably would. But it looks like Chester has bet 75 here. From up front with ace-king. Dr. Allen is not going to get involved. I don't know if Joe is thinking about making a move here or what. He folds. And David is not going to get involved. And Chester's going to take it down there with the ace-king. Pretty solid play there by Chester in seat 1.
Oh, yeah. Why can't you get 25?
Email here from Nick Hender. He says, I'm new to the game. I'm reading Super System to try to improve my game. What are some other good poker books? Nick Hender from Ottawa. Well, it's kind of tough out there. I mean, no-limit cash games. I mean, 2+2 is kind of pumping their kind of no-limit, I think it's no-limit theory or whatever the book is called. And I would basically expect from the quality of books that they normally put out that will be a good book as well. It's called No Limit Hold'em Theory and Practice. It says it's shipping in early June. And I don't want to be a shill for them, but I'm definitely going to read it. I've also heard that Harrington on Hold'em is good. I haven't read that, but I think that is more for tournaments. But I wonder if No Limit Hold'em Theory and Practice is going to put into some of the theories that we've been talking about on the show for over a year. Like manipulating pot sizes, adjusting correctly the stack sizes, and stuff like that. Limped around here. Four, 4-10 here on the flop. Seat number 4 is going to come out and bet here with Jack 10. And he is going to take it down there. So I hope that gets you started. Email here from Tamid Milan. He says, hello, I'd like to start off by saying this is my second night listening, and I love your show. P.S. I've smoked salvia a few times. Not only do you not know what poker is, you don't know what planet you're on. I was laughing my ass off when you were telling your smoking with the salvia story. Oh, thank you. Putt moves over here to seat 8. Email here from Bill Momberger, and I'll get to it in a second. You can also become our friend on MySpace. You can go to myspace.com/liveatthebike. Add us to your friends list.
5 players.
5-way action here. Limped around. 7-3-5 here with a couple of diamonds. Dr. Allen's got overcards and a diamond draw here with Jack 10. And he's going to semi-bluff forward. He's going to bet 20. As you can see, he's almost a 50% favorite over the rest of the field here. Yeah, Chester's not going to get involved here with the ace-5. Since tonight's game is a capped bind no limit, which is usually what I play, my first question deals with initial raise sizes. In a capped no limit game, my standard raise is 3 to 4 times the big blind, adding a multiple for each and every limper in front of me. If there were many limpers, say 3 or more, is it wise to consider maxing the size of my initial raise to 6 or 7 times the blind in order to not potentially put too much self-induced pressure on my cap stack for play on the flop in later streets? Sincerely, Bill from Orlando. Well, I mean, it's going to depend on what the buy-in for the game is, Bill. I mean, in this particular game, if everyone's going to buy in for 500, if you're only raising it to 15 or 20, I really don't think it's enough. Because everybody has 500. You know, if you're playing in a 3-5 game and you've got a $200 stack, well, then I can understand raising to 15 or 20. But you have to adjust to more of what the stack size and what the cap buy-in is, as opposed to what the blind size is. Now, we had a raise here by Sean with ace-queen of clubs. And he's flopped the nut flush draw here with overcards, 10, 7, 9. Now, David is open-ended with the queen jack.
Is that a good one?
And I guess David here was the pre-flop raiser.
115.
He has bet all in.
A friend of mine got dragged into
And it's a $115 bet here by David. And I think that Sean is going to call, and he does.
We did that.
Couldn't quite tell if Sean was the pre-flop raiser or if David
One of
was
the
the
funniest
pre-flop raiser.
images in my life was a friend of mine being led to an ATM by a stripper.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, oh, all right, it must have gone well.
We tried to get him to
Put it all in.
We tried to get him to leave. She
So Sean makes the call, and he's a big favorite here. Oh, about a 3-1 favorite. Turns a 7.
Lady, that classic.
And the river here is a 9. And the ace is going to play here. 7s and 9s with an ace kicker. That is good. And David shows the missed draw there. Queen, Jack. David was drawing really slim there. He needed to catch a Jack that wasn't a club. Queen was no good. He could have caught an 8 that wasn't a club or a king that wasn't a club. And that's just about it. David is out of there.
Seat open.
Rockstar.
So again, getting to Bill's question, you have to notice your stack sizes and raise accordingly to the stack sizes that are on the table, not the blind sizes that you are playing.
I know who it is. Do you know who it is?
You know, if I'm playing in a 5-10 uncapped game and I have $1,000 and I have everybody covered and everybody else has 500, well, I might only raise to 40 or 50. But I mean, if I'm playing deep stack 5-10 where everyone has over 2,000 on the table, well, then I'm going to be probably raising at least to 100 or so.
Oh, really?
Or you know, some fair amount.
That I can get behind. I
Again,
love
it's
him.
stack sizes that really define the raise, not necessarily blind sizes.
Said he was low in gas.
5 players.
Cal gas.
Was it gas or glass?
I think it's gas.
5-way action here, limped around.
Yeah.
Ace 9-9 on the flop. Looks like Sean's got the best hand here with ace 6.
This is fucking
But that's 25.
And Sean is going to bet. He's going to take it down. Seat 7 is going to move over here to seat 8. Email here from David Gladstone. He says that I'm selling my business in a few weeks and giving myself a year to see if I can make it as a quote-unquote pro. I'll make enough from the sale to cover my living expenses for that time, so there isn't huge money pressure. Over the last 4 years, I've built a decent enough bankroll to play mostly tournaments. However, it's pretty obvious to me that in order to make it, I'm going to need to learn proper cash game strategies. Watching this show has already helped me tremendously. But what other things would you recommend to help me make the transition from semi-successful tournament player
25.
to successful cash game player?
Hey, Bert. How are you?
I'll get to that in a
Nice to
second.
see you.
Vaughn is going to raise it up here with ace, queen of clubs, and he's going to take it down.
Yeah, that's funny. Exactly.
Well, obviously, you know, if you have watched this show enough, you know that cash games, you know, are really huge difference between cash games and tournaments. Are in regards to, there's no urgency to accumulate chips. You can be patient, obviously. I think that you really, in order to be a successful no-limit cash game player, you really need to maximize the amount of the pot and the amount that you win with your big hands. And remember, I talked about maybe about an hour ago that ace-queen is not a big hand with an ace blank flop. But a flop set or a flop nuts from turn nuts is a big hand. And you've got to build yourself a big enough pot where you can make that hand profitable. Because if you play your big hands correctly, you only need to win 1 or 2 big hands a night to make a hefty winning session.
Straddle my button, young man, not happy.
Straddle here by seat number 8, and the button's going to raise it up here to 60. Allen with king 7 of hearts. Now Bennett here has got pocket jacks, and he's going to re-raise. He is going to make it, I think, 170. I think he's re-raising 100 more. No, he just called. He just called. And Joe is going to call with queen 7. Wow. So a raise to 70 on the button, a call by pocket jacks, seat 9 calls, pocket 3s.
60 more.
And Vaughn is going to come in. So 4-way action here, $240 pot. Bennett by far has the best hand here with jacks. Well, king 6-4, and Allen's outflopped him. The only person with the club in the hand is Vaughn. Vaughn checks. And Allen checks with king 7. And the turn is a 4. You know, Allen has played this hand a little bit peculiar. I was wondering if Bennett might lead out there with jacks. And now Allen moves in.
400.
Check the flop, and now he moves in. He's almost played it maybe it's like he's got pocket queens or pocket tens. But I got to tell you, Bennett's in a tough spot now.
400
Because
exactly.
unless this guy has flopped the nut flush draw, you wouldn't think he would check a king. Well, Bennett gets away from it. You wonder if he might have pocket nines or
Glad I can
pocket
make somebody
tens.
some money with that move.
He moves all in here. Pot is now about 640, 400 a call. I really don't think that Vaughn can make this call.
Nice. With the ace of clubs to boot.
And Allen is going to take it down. Email here by Jared Pondalek. He says, "Hi Bart, I've always been a little confused on exactly who's supposed to show their cards first in a showdown. I find some players will never turn over their cards till you do, and I feel you really lose information when they don't. Who goes first?" Well, obviously, if you call, the other player is supposed to go first. Now, the tricky thing is when you move all in and you call. Say I'm out of position, or say I'm in position, and a guy in front of me moves all in, and I call. Well, in actuality, the guy in first position on the river, because I've called the all-in, is supposed to show his hands first because, well, not only have I called him, but it actually goes check, check on the turn, check, check on the river. So, excuse me, let's say I'm in position and I move all in, and a guy calls me from up front. That guy from up front is actually supposed to turn his hand over first at showdown on the river. Because you move all in position, he calls, the turn goes check, check, and the river goes check, check, and the guy from out front shows. Other than that, it's the person that calls has the right to see the guy's hand who you've called first. But it gets a little bit confusing when, again, there is an all-in. Just think of it, when there's an all-in, on the next street, it goes check, check. So the guy from early position shows first. We had a little raise here by Bennett with Queen Jack. He made it 20 to go. And Allen is going to bet $10 here with King Jack into this board. Button folds. And Igor is going to check call here with a heart draw. The turn is an 8. And again, check calling in no limit is not necessarily the best play. And Allen is going to bet 75 now. And Igor is going to lay it down. Email here by Chadney Sean. He says, Bart, as you know, I'm a regular listener, and I also email you, David, frequently. I was wondering if I could maybe come and guest commentate or something when Tuckman's out of town. Now, nothing against you, but the show is just a lot better when you have something to feed off of. And the same thing when you are gone and Tuckman's in the booth by himself. Just a thought, show a donkey some love. Chadney. Well, it has kind of been a slow night, and we've actually often had this, people have emailed us about guest commentating. And I don't know. I mean, we sometimes have weekly production meetings here on the show, and it might be something that we might throw around for a future show. Maybe, you know, not for a whole show, but just maybe a contest we might be able to run or something. Just throw it out at you. Maybe a couple people might have a chance to come in the booth. 6-way action here, limped around.
Keep my shoes on though. That's annoying.
Queen 7-6 here with a couple of diamonds.
LAX is the biggest joke. The security at LAX is horrible.
And no one's got anything here on this flop.
20. Yeah.
See number 3 here. Igor, he's going to bet 20. Actually, he's flop top pair.
Yeah, the Pumas, man. You gotta watch out for Pumas.
And he's going to take it down there. So again, Chadney, well, the first step is I throw it around to the producer and the powers that be here. And again, you know, we might be able to do something like that in the future.
Yeah. Everyone fly at Long Beach.
I always wonder how many of our proportion of our listeners are necessarily from the LA area versus out of the LA area. Obviously, this show is heard worldwide.
Now my button's getting straddled. Give me the goods, baby. Give me the goods.
The button moves over here to seat 8. Got another strategy email here from Brian Mintz, and again, this will be filed and will be read through. and hopefully we can get it onto a video blog or an episode of the Inside Straight. Ace King 6 here with a couple of diamonds.
25.
And we got a $25 bet out here by Chester with a second pair. He's going to bet out with the king. And a call here by Joe. Now, I guess you could say Joe is floating here because he has absolutely nothing. The turn is a queen. And I assume if Chester checks to him, Joe should bet here. Yeah, and there he is. Going to bet 75 here. And there it is. Good example of kind of a float there, huh?
Monster.
Oh, man.
Yep. 8-9.
He says he's got 8-9, and he's telling the truth.
I knew it was that type of monster.
Again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions.
No.
Become our friend on MySpace. Check out the archives. Head over to September 16th episode.
No, it's just one diamond.
Scroll through about 2 hours and 40 minutes in.
He bet, man.
I made a move there. It was 7-2, so never got me.
Button's going to move over here to Vaughn, the Englishman, in seat 9.
Actually, I'm not running well enough to be showing the gloves like that. That was just...
Igor's going to limp in here with ace-jack offsuit.
Yeah, kind of ruined you. It made it worse.
Well, hopefully I'll have a hand that hits next time.
20 total.
I haven't hit a hand in about 3 hours. So. I'll be trying to turn it for the 10.
And we get a raise here by, I believe it was by Vaughn here with Jack 10. And 3 callers. King 7 Queen. Well, Vaughn has flopped a straight draw. It's a pretty nice board if you're the pre-flop raiser to continuation bet, and he does. Well, he's going to bet lightly, though, again. He bets 35. But that's going to do it. That's going to be enough to take it down. Nice flop there for Jack 10.
35 and under,
And Baron Bing or Tothis said, Bart, if you're wondering if 2+2's no limit hold'em theory and practice will be better than Super System, I have not got it yet, but if you think that Super System will be better, I'll net teller you $100. He says, I'm not sure it will be seen as a superior product, talking about the 2+2 book. I expect nothing less from Skolansky and Ed Miller, and I agree.
Typical casino. And I went in there. It was like,
oh, back there 4 years ago, man, you had a
And Whalecock on 2+2 says, theory and practice, no limit hold'em. If it's anything close to the other books that, or Skolansky on hold'em, or the other books they've written, it should be easily worth it, or small stakes hold'em. But it will have to, at least in the forward, get past Skolansky's condescending style. Let's hope so. They also need to update the gun on the cover as well. And we get a raise here by seat number 9, Vaughn with ace-king. And look at this, Igor is going to bet in here with ace-jack, but Vaughn's got top 2 pair. So Igor's bet here 20, and Vaughn's going to correctly raise here right away.
better, but yeah, that one didn't raise a good game.
And he's going to raise it up. He raises it up to 50. And excuse me, I butchered that post by Whalecock. I didn't mean to say that. He says, but will it have Skolansky's condescending style? Let's hope so. So there you go. I thought he said, can it get past Skolansky's condescending style? Will it have Skolansky's condescending style? I got to tell you, I interviewed David on in Vegas during the Lifestyles Convention at the Rio last year. And he was pretty condescending. Nothing against the guy, but the button moves over here to C2. I was actually kind of pumping his books. I was asking him, take a look at the chip count here. We've got about $6,000 on the table. Dr. Allen's still in the lead here with 1,200. Let's take a look at the differences here. And Dr. Allen's up 700, Vaughn's up 600. Again, we've got a lot of positive here on the table because a lot of the losers have already left. Got a raise here by Dr. Allen with pocket 10. Seat 2 on the button calls with pocket deuces. Queen 7-4 here with a couple of diamonds. Dr. Allen makes the $65 continuation bet, and he's going to take it down. And I don't mean anything about Skolansky in a bad way. I'm just saying that I was interviewing him, during the Lifestyle Convention last year, and I was talking about his books, and he was pretty sure of himself. He said, if you read our books, you will win. Kind of in a devilish grin. So, hey, you know, for what it's worth. I don't know the man personally. Button moves over here to C3. I know that I was looking around, and I think, was it Ed Miller that was on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy coming up in the near future? One of those guys? Anybody ever seen that show on Bravo? Seat 8's going to raise it up here to 25 with deuce 6 of clubs. Allen is going to call here in seat number 4 in the small blind with ace jack of clubs. Bennett's in there with pocket 5s. Dr. Allen is not in the hand with king 10. Jack 6-4. Well, Allen checks the ace jack from up front here. And now Bennett is going to move all in here with 5s. He's going to move all in for 135. I don't necessarily know if that is playing a short stack that effectively. Betting right into the razor here. Joe has got a pair of 6s here. I don't know if he's necessarily going to call, but I think that Allen is going to pull the check call for sure here in seat 4. And I almost guarantee that's going to come. Now, the question now, though, is that if Joe calls, can you overcall with ace-jack? Well, Joe's not going to call. And I assume Allen is going to call, and he does. Bennett's going to need some sort of running diamonds, running straight cards, or hit his set. He's in big trouble, and he knows it. This pot is going to be about $350. Bennett needs a lot of help. Turns a 9. Now he needs a 5 and a 5 only. And it's not going to be an ace-jack. It's good there. Allen takes it down. The dealer Allen in C4. Got about an hour left in the show. Keep those emails coming. Email here from Peter Muselman. He says, how's it going tonight, Bart? I have a question about online cash games. I play 200 no limit, 10-player tables, and it's very easy to find juicy games. The problem that I have is no one respects a raise before the flop, and it's common to get 4 to 5 callers. What is the best way to play against a table that is extremely loose? Well, you know, in games like that, you know, there was a question earlier from a guy. In a restricted buy-in game like that, and I assume that game is a, what is it, a 1-2 game? If you make the raise to $15 to $20, and I know sometimes that sounds a little bit big to some people out there, people really can't call you. You should kind of tighten up. But if you're making $8 raises, well, then they can call you. Because $200 in that game is inherently a short stack. I think you really only have 100 times the big line. And a lot of people say, well, you know, online is different from live. And maybe it is. But I just find that if you actually raise enough where you're not giving people odds to call you with the middle suited connectors, small pocket pairs, you don't have to make outstandingly big raises. But even if you raise to 15, now remember, if you raise to 10, between 10 and 15, well, they might have odds to call you with a pocket pair, but they shouldn't be in there with suited connectors because you really need to be 20 to 30 times deep for those type of plays. Sean is bet here with 4-8 with a straight draw. Joe is called in with a pair of 7s. Joe now picks up a flush draw. Joe checks again, and Sean is going to continue to bluff at it. He bets 100. And Sean is on a draw. And Joe check calls. And you wonder if Sean can follow through with a river bet here. And the river is a 7, and Joe has made trip 7s. And Joe checks. And in this case, it's actually probably proper. Because Sean has absolutely nothing. $125 bet here, and a call by Joe. And Joe is going to win it there with trip 7s.
I caught a spade draw on the turn. I had to call.
Oh, bro. 7 king here, bro.
And Joe's going to take it down there with the 6-7 of spades.
I know, good laydown. For me, that is.
You meant that sincerely. I know.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't feel it, bro.
Follow-up email here, Jared Pondelet. So number 1, if you're out of position on player A and he bets the turn and you call, then you both check the river. Does player A show first?
You forgot to listen to your conversation, but you like.
You know what? I'm going to come out and be honest with you and say that I'm actually not sure about that because I've actually seen it ruled in different cases. Because I know with an all-in, if it goes check-check, you show it first because you're out of position. But something has come to mind where if it goes check-check and you still have money behind, the actual last player that called has the right to see the hand first, to confuse everyone the hell out of you guys. But I will have to go and get clarification on that, and I'll come back to you tomorrow. Checked around here on the flop. Jack 4-3 with a couple spades, turns at 10.
25.
And Sean is going to bet 25 here. Joe calls. Or excuse me, Alan calls with the open-end straight draw. And Joe overcalls here with King 10. And the river is a 6, and Alan gets there. Oh, Alan does not get there, excuse me. He made a pair of 6s on the river, and Ace 10 is going to win it there. Thought the 5-6, the 6 completed the river straight, but it did not. Check down on the river.
want to bet the flop and go over the top.
Button moves over here to seat 8. And to follow up with that email, if you're out of position and player A bets the river and you call, does player A show first? Yes, I know that for sure, Jared. But again, number one, if you're out of position on player A and he bets the turn and you call, then you both check the river. Does player A show first? Again, I'm not positive about that. I know in an all-in it goes check, 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 and the out-of-position player shows first, but something is coming to mind there where if you still have money and the last person who called the bet actually does not need to show his hand first, in which case you would be out of position. You wouldn't need to show your hand first because you called on the turn. Now, someone maybe you can correct me out there. Again, I'm not 100% sure on there. Now, Sean's got pocket aces here, and I believe he's straddled. So finally, he's raising out of the straddle here because he's got a real hand. Remember, we had an email earlier saying that why is Sean straddling when he's never raising? Well, this time he's picked up aces and he's raised. And we're going to see it heads up here. It's going to be about a $120 pot. Aces against Jack 10. Well, King 6-3 here. And Vaughn is going to throw that little kind of bluffish bet in here again. He's going to bet 40. And Sean is just going to call him. Well, maybe he's trying to plan on just raising him on the turn. The turn is an 8. Vaughn checks. Sean bets 100 here. And Sean takes it down. Now, the problem with smooth calling there with aces, though, is that Vaughn doesn't look like the type of guy that's fired 2 bullets there with Jack 10. I mean, he just checks and folds. If you just call there, you're just kind of letting him name your price if he's on a straight or a flush draw there, obviously. New player coming in at seat 5. That's Zach. Zach coming in at seat 5.
Wow. That's going up in the Hall of Fame for
The way that you play.
Button moves over here to Vaughn in seat 9.
Right. Oh, come on. We were getting along. You could have given me the knee, Vaughn.
And Vaughn is going to raise it up here with Queen 10 offsuit.
Oh, well, that was a quick call. I didn't even think. Make sure you put it on the machine so it gets 0 first.
And we're going to see 3 callers here. Deuce 3 of spades, 7-8 of hearts, 8-6 offsuit. Well, trip 7's here for Joe. Let's see how he's going to play it in seat 8. Is he going to bet right into the razor? That's not really the type of board I like to give off as a card. But look at this. Chester's going to come out and bet right away. He's open-ended. Remember, Chester would bet a flush draw here. He's going to bet his open-ended straight draw. He might bet a pocket pair. He might bet a 7. And Joe is going to quickly raise him. Quickly raises with trip 7s. $75 bet. Joe raises to $175. And Chester calls. This pot is quickly almost $500. Well, the turn's a 4, and Chester makes the straight. And he checked it. I assume that he thinks that Joe has a 7. He's trying to get Joe to commit. But Joe checks right behind him. And the river now is a 6. And Chester has got to be scared that this guy might have filled up if he has a 7 here. I mean, how do you proceed now? It's a 1-liner to a straight. It's a 3rd diamond. And it just gets checked down. It just gets checked down, and both players here have the same straight, right? They're going to chop it up. 6-8 and 7-8. Wow.
Oh, you turned it. Wow, nice.
So Chester checked it there. He's trying to play it a little bit cagey.
I was going to bet on the turn, too.
Wow.
You bet you're all in, bro.
Interesting.
Same scenario.
Well, if I bet he goes all in, I got to call.
No, you bet you're going to push. You're not going to let him
No,
try to
he's
catch.
checked. If I bet he's going to raise.
We're not going to wait for him.
You guys would have both been all in. That was a crazy check, bro.
Try to check at the end.
I put him on the diamonds, dude.
Post here by the Dude Minds. He says, when is the Bear doing more commentary, if ever? His 2-hour rant on Limit Hold'em was the shit. Priceless insight and information. Also, you guys need to label the Tim Fan shows in the archive ASAP. Thank you, the Dude Minds. And we assume that Barry's going to be here during Legends, and hopefully he will come on the show once again. If he spares us the time, and he was very nice the first time to come around.
Diamond draw. He bet into the diamond draw.
I mean, the only thing for Barry, though, is that, you know, he was doing the commentating on the games like the big 400, 800 limit game and such. We don't necessarily really spread that game. If he's willing to come in and do a commentary on a big no limit cash game, well, that would be great. And maybe we can get some no limit, you know, cash game commentary from him. Got a raise here by Igor with Ace Queen offsuit. And obviously Barry's a very, very busy man, so. Igor raised it here with Ace Queen. Joe's going to call with Ace 8 suited. We're going to see a couple of callers here. We're going to see three-way action. Spot's about $125. Jack 3 on the flop. Igor's the pre-flop raiser with Ace Queen. He's up against 9-7 of diamonds and Ace 8. And if he leads here, he's probably going to take it down. He bets 35. Boy, that's kind of the story of tonight. 35 into a $135 pot. Look at this. Chester's going to raise him. He senses some weakness. The flop is Jack 3. He makes it 75 to go. But Igor doesn't buy it. He makes the call. Wow. And this pot is quickly $300, $350. The turn's a deuce. Neither player has a pair. Igor checks. Let's see what Chester's going to do here. And he's going to bet 200. He's going to put Igor to the test here. He bets 200. And we haven't seen a lot of players with this type of balls here to make this bet on a pure bluff here in position. And he's going to take it down. The lag-tard Chester. No, I'm just kidding. Nice play there by Chester. Takes it down. Got a new player coming into seat 7. That is Mark. Hello, welcome to the table, Mark. I think Mark has been on the table a few times. Got an email here from C.S. Cushway. Some video blog analysis. It's a rather long email. I'm not going to be able to read it, but I definitely will read it after the show. And maybe I'll come back to it tomorrow. Thank you for the email, Sammy C. from Chicago. Limped around here. Five-way action. 5-4-10 here on the flop. Mark, who posted there, has got 10 deuce. He's got the best hand. Well, actually, Igor outkicks him with 10-3 in the small blind. Checked around again here. River's a 9. And it looks like Igor and Mark are going to... No, look at that. Joe backed into a straight in seat 8. He made it straight with Jack 8. He's going to come out and bet. And I don't think he's going to get a call here from anybody. He bets 30. And he does not get a call. Email here from Bernie Mackinson-Gay. He says, hi, Bart. Big fan of the show. When you see tournaments that advertise with guarantees, like a $100,000 guarantee, what exactly does that mean? Well, that's a good question, Bernie, if you don't know what that means. it means if the total prize pool does not meet at least that amount, the casino will make the prize pool at least that amount. Now, I don't even remember. Ronnie can help me out. When is the last time a live no-limit tournament has not made a guarantee? I mean, Ronnie's saying that last year they had a $200,000 guarantee and they missed it by $32,000. So, of course, was that here, Ronnie, at the bike? Or wherever that was, yeah, it was one of the winning greens. They will make the prize pool $200,000, even though the prize pool is only in that case $168,000. But it's very rare in this day and age, with the popularity of no-limit hold'em tournaments, that a guarantee is not met. Because usually they only guarantee no-limit hold'em tournaments, right? I mean, pretty much. But like tonight's tournament was guaranteed at $50,000, but it was $200 with multiple rebuys, so I'm sure they have no trouble meeting that guarantee. Sometimes you can find overlays online. Like I know sometimes I've played in the Full Tilt Horse $10,000 guarantees. Or $20,000 guarantees, excuse me. They need to have 100 players. Sometimes they don't make it. $25 raise here by seat 4, pocket 5s. And he's going to take it down here without a flop. Email here, follow-up email here by Chris Hedgelick. He says, in regards to the email about who shows first at the end of the hand, I worked as a dealer. In most casinos, the general rule is worst position shows regardless of action. So if the player that was in the big blind check calls the whole way, he would still be required to show first over the button player, as an example, if it was checked down on the river. This is the rule, although most people kind of have an unspoken agreement for the action taker to show first. Again, I'm not exactly sure about that, but remember, in an all-in situation, there are more actions. Check, check, and check, check. So in that case, the out-of-position player does show the hand first, even though, say, they called an all-in on the flop. And again, I'll come back to you again that tomorrow if there's no action on the river. We had a raise here by Chester with ace-jack. Allen is called with ace-10. Wow, we can see fireworks here, folks. Jack, 7, deuce. Allen's got the nut flush draw. Chester's flop top pair with ace-jack. $75 bet, and what is Allen is going to raise it up here to 300 immediately. $75 bet here by Chester, and Allen is raised. And I don't necessarily mind, if Chester just gets away from this. This is what we're talking about. Ace-jack is not a monster hand. Allen obviously could be doing it with diamonds. He could have flopped a set. He might even have the same hand, but is this really a hand that you want to make this call and get involved with out of position with ace-jack? Let's see what Chester does here. Look at he's smiling. I think he knows about the possibility of the semi-bluff, but in fact, kind of like what Sclancy says in theory of poker, there isn't a big counter to this move. You might just be better off just folding here. 225 more. Gonna peer at his cards here again. Make sure probably he doesn't have the ace of diamonds in his hand. And he's gonna think with this one.
You're a better man than I.
And he's gonna fold it.
I'm gonna show you because you're a good guy.
Pocket 7s again?
And he's gonna show the semi-bluff.
Show him live, I don't care. You can show him.
But again, though, I mean, and look at that. The turn would have been the case ace.
See? Save your money.
Allen would have made top pair, and Chester would have made aces up on the turn. Wow.
You come in on the turn, I'm all in.
Unbelievable.
Good call, man.
Looks like we're going to see a new setup here. So again, thanks for those emails. I still think that there's a possibility, though. Like I said, if you're up front, you check the turn, and the guy bets and you call, and it goes check, check on the river, that you might have the right to ask for the in-position player's cards first because your last action was call. And you guys both have chips. Again, on an all-in, there is declared action as check, check on whatever final streets of play. And the guy from up front actually has to show his hand first. But I'm not sure about that other person. But normally, as a rule of thumb goes, whoever calls has the right to see the other person's hand first.
I've been up to 22 and a half miles. I know you could have one.
button moves over here to seat. So otherwise, it just goes in turn. Right, guy from up front.
Yes, there is a poker god after all.
That casino works pretty good. Oh, yeah. Like craps and blackjack and everything, it runs really fast.
Email here from Eric Mathis. He says, one of you guys should fly me out there and stake me in the 25-50 game. I guarantee a big payday. Love the show. Well, Eric, you're not the first. Yeah, get in line. C2 has raised it up here with ace-king offsuit, big slick offsuit. Now, seat number 5, that's Bennett. He's going to call with pocket threes. Looks like he might be deep enough now to make that call. Actually, Zach, the new player. And we're heads up here. And there's a set of threes. Now, again, this is why we talk about the rule of saying 10 times the raise amount, because Zach has flopped a set here, but Sean doesn't have anything. You always have to account for the guy. The guy might raise and not hit the flop. Sean bets here. Looks like 60 or 70. Let's see what Zach is going to do. He's going to raise right away, which I like, because in this game, a lot of times people have trouble getting away from an overpair here. You know, Sean might commit all his chips here with ace-queen, but in this case, he has nothing. He actually min-raised it. It was a $50 bet and a $50 min-raise. I really like that. Because you might make that raise with ace-queen. If the guy had aces or kings, he might think, I'm going to continue on because this guy only has ace-queen. But you're also doing it with a set here. But remember, when you're talking about calling raises in pocket pairs and suited connectors, you always have to take into account several other factors. Your stack size being the big one of them, your opponent's stack size, what the type of player is, what he might be raising with. Seems like Sean's a pretty tight player. In this case, Zach got a little unlucky that Sean wasn't coming in with a big pair. If the flop was king 3-8, he might see some action. But in this case, Sean only raised with ace-king, and the flop came queen 3-8. Zach flopped a set and obviously got no action. If you're calling a raise against a maniac or a very loose aggressive player, you have to take into account that the guy might not be raising with much, and he might bet the flop with nothing. You know, such as a corporation might. You know, very tough for you to get paid off if you hit your set. You know, because Mike might not have hit the flop. You know, more than 50% of the time he hasn't hit the flop.
What's your number again? Use it to your advantage. Your mom's going to be calling Dr.
Live straddle here by seat 2. Nice Sean.
Yes. If I would have known when it came in, I thought it was a raise.
Email here from Tim Heeson. Get to it in a second. Six-way action straddled around. It's a $60 pot. Jack 6-5. Now, for example here, Sean is straddled with a hand which is king 5, okay? Not a great hand. But I think with 6 people limping, he's got to make a raise with that hand some of the time. Instead, it just seems like he's just raising with his premium hands on the straddle. Now, Chester is going to come out. He's going to bet 75. He's got an open-ended straight draw. I like the bet. Zach's not going to get involved here with queen 6. Mark is going to call with queen jack. Now, Joe on the button. He's got ace jack. Let's see how he's going to play this. And remember, yeah, Chester might have an open-ended straight draw now, and you might raise with ace-jack, but what about the times that he's bet out with bottom 2 pair or a set? Then you're really screwed. Well, the turn is a 9. No help for Chester. Do you throw a little stop bet out here? I mean, the pot is about 300. Do you throw a little $125 bet out here? Well, now he checks. I think you might be able to throw a little $125 bet out here. Now Mark is going to bet 200. And Joe doesn't really have any information here. Mark smooth called the flop. Joe still has the best hand.
See that?
Yes, I do. He gets rid of it.
Now they're talking things about you.
And Chester's got to look at how much Mark has left. Mark has bet 200. He has 200 left. So you figure the pot now is about 500. I can call 200 here to win 500 in the pot plus another 200. I'm calling 200 to win 700. I'm getting 3.5 to 1. He doesn't have the odds. You have to realize that once Mark bets 200 there, you're going to get all his money in if you hit it on the river. So you're not just calling 200 to win 500. You're actually calling 200 to win 700.
Trying to put the king of Spain.
And it's actually an easier decision to make when someone's short stacked because you've got to figure they're going to call the river.
Got a computer, can't afford one.
So anyways, Tim Heason there, his email, he says, I just finished reading some of the limit versus no limit strategic differences articles in card play. I started thinking about some of the points discussed in the articles, in particular calling in position with speculative and drawing hands against the weaker passive players I typically play against in brick and mortar games. In no limit, you'll make a lot of pre-flop decisions based on stack sizes of you and your opponents, while limit will often be based on the strength of your hands and the odds your call is getting pre-flop. Do you find that you can play more hands in a no-limit or a limit game, assuming players of equal quality in each game, and does your strategy for playing these games change based on if the game is no-limit or limit? And that's a great question, and I'll get to it here in a second. Zach is raised here with ace-king. Button is called with the 7-10 of diamonds. Chester's in there, 6-4 offsuit. Well, Zach is going to lead forward here, looks like, with a continuation bet. He's got overs and a gut shot. I don't know if Vaughn, I mean, is this really the flop you're looking to get involved here with? Zach bets 40. Vaughn's going to raise. Maybe he senses some weakness. He's going to raise it up. Looks like 75 more. So he raises to 75 here. Wow, and Zach is going to call. Well, the turn's a 10, and Vaughn's got trip 10s. Zach checks, and Vaughn should continue to bet.
150.
And he does. He's going to bet 150 here. It's a nice bet here by Vaughn. It's a pot builder bet. This is a hand that I want to build a big pot with. And Zach is going to get rid of it. So anyways, I think that if you are in a deeper stacked no-limit game, if you're in a deeper stacked no-limit game, you can play a lot more hands, especially in position, than you can in a limit game. If you play in a very restricted no-limit game, it plays more like a limit game. You have to play less hands. But the game that I commonly play in, which is an uncapped no-limit game, 5-10 or 10-20, I play a lot more hands than I ever would in a limit game. Because no limit is a game of implied odds. In limit, yeah, there are some implied odds, but you don't have the implied odds that you do in no limit in terms of you can win the other guy's entire stack. So I play much, much looser in no limit, if that answers your questions. And I think you should too, if you're playing with a deeper stack.
Oh, wait, I gotta look at that again. I just gotta make sure. Double check.
Button moves over here to C1. Email here by Kevin Prendergast. He says, when I come to a table and somebody is playing out of their racks, I consider that player to be a weak player. I perceive them to be a weak player. Have you had any thoughts on this? Or leaving your rack on the table? Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think that you can come to any quick conclusions just because they have a rack on the table. Now, we've talked about how, you know, in this game, if you see a lot of yellow chips on the table, or not in this 3-5 game, but say in a 5-10 game, you might perceive that to be a tell that the guy might not be as comfortable playing those stakes because he's playing with those amount of chips. I mean, I'm so accustomed playing with out of racks on the table because when I propped here, that's what we would do, make it easier for us to get up and such that, you know, I don't really, you know, put it into my considerations as the type of player that somebody is just because they're playing out of a rack. Live straddle here by seat 5, and it got limped around, and Zach is going to raise it to 40 with ace-10. And if you're going to straddle, I would assume that you would raise with that hand. And this is why I don't straddle in full ring games, because I don't really want to raise with ace-10 offsuit. And he doesn't really make it that much. Everybody calls him. 6-5 deuce. Now, what is he going to do here with ace-10? The pot is about $210. He's going to bet 100. Dr. Allen here has got an overpair. He's got pocket 7s, and how is he going to continue? Mark in seat 7 has ace-6. Let's see what Dr. Allen does here.
You like that fat tire, bro? You like that?
So good.
Yeah, I've drank it. It is good.
My favorite.
He folds,
Sierra Nevada ain't bad.
and Mark is going to make a call. Quick call here.
What? Drinks?
And the ace is no good here for Zach. He needs to catch a 10 or a 10 only. Turns a 9.
Oh, I like that.
And Zach has moved all in here. And this is really going to put Mark to the test.
Hey, my favorite beer is Heineken.
This pot now is 400 plus the all-in.
I drink
Even when he gets
Corona.
It's a $665 pot, $265 for Mark to call. And the way that this hand is played out, it is a very tough call here for Mark, and he gets away from it. Let's take a look over there at Vaughn's. There it is.
All I had to do is take
Clark?
$10.
Does he go by Vaughn? Why are we calling him Vaughn if his first name is Clark? Maybe he just likes to go by Vaughn. Hi, Mom.
I wouldn't call the 40 though.
Do people call him Clark or Vaughn? Oh,
Unless it was pot odds, which it was. I love calling pot odds. Dealer, what's your name?
And a continuation on that email by Kevin, he says, I was playing this weekend and ended up in a large pot with a guy. The river made a board of ace, queen, jack, 10-4, and I was sure the guy had a king. He bet, and I was getting like 9-1 on my money with 2 pair to call. Do you ever lay down hands even though you're getting the right odds to call when you're sure you're beat? Thanks for the help. Well, I think that if you can really determine the fact that that guy would not bet more than 1 out of 8, 1 out of 9 times without a king, then you fold. And it sounds to me like if you say you're sure, then you're really not getting the right odds to call there. That a guy would check down any 2 pair. Seat number 9 here is going to raise to $10. And seat number 4 has got pocket kings here in the small blind. And he's going to raise it up. Going to make it 125.
What do you want me to do with these?
There it is.
24.
Actually, I should have called it.
And we had a post here by Alan on 2+2 saying, if the last round of betting is checked, whether it's due to all-ins in previous betting rounds or lack of betting, the showdown goes by the order of position,
There's jackpot, huh?
i.e. small blind shows before button, even if the button was the last better on a round other than the river. Well, that makes sense in terms of the all-in. But again, I just for some reason remember in the back of my mind that I had heard somewhere, and I might be wrong, that if you bet the turn and the guy calls you and then it goes check, check on the river, the guy in position might have to show his hand first. But I'm not sure about that. I know with the all-in, if you're from up front and you call a guy in position and you are out of position, that you actually have to show your hand first because the rest of the action is check, check on the river. Unless, of course, you call all in on the river, in which case the other guy shows first because you've called. Little raise here by Igor. 25 to go with pocket jacks.
Call, please.
10-3-5 here. And Dr. Allen is going to bet 75 here with pocket nines. Mark is going to call with ace deuce, and Igor moves all in. Wow, Mark calls with ace deuce. And I think that Allen should probably get the information. I mean, he has bet. A guy in between has called. There's no draw. Would Igor really push all in here with ace king without a hand that he doesn't have him beat with? Yeah, Allen quickly gets away from that. And it's 150 more here for Mark to call. He is drawing slim. He has overcard is good. He's got a straight draw to the 4. He actually has 7 outs here with 2 cards to come. The pot is about 500, 175 for him to call, and he makes the call. He's getting a little over 2.5 to 1. He could catch a 4 or an ace here. Turns a 3. Needs a 4 or an ace. The river's a 7. Igor there is going to double through there with pocket jacks.
Oh, I had to beat Arminio. Ace 3.
There it is. The post here on 2+2 by Hangar. He says, is the Bicycle Casino going to help support the World Poker Association in as much as standardizing rules, logos, etc.? Interesting question. Anyone? I will get back to you with that as well. I'm not sure if that is coming into consideration for the Bicycle Casino, but I will look into that. Button moves over here to seat 5.
Now, if anybody calls, just show their hands. All
Yeah, a little under a half an hour left in the show. Again, I want to encourage everyone to check out the video blog and email me. Give me some analysis. Again, if I don't necessarily read it on the show, I will read it myself and hope to get back to you. And tell us how you think it went too, because we're going to start doing more and more of those. Was the action easy to follow, etc. Well, we're going to see 5-way action here. It's limped around. 9-7-5 here on the flop. Oh, Mark in seat 7's got ace-9. He's going to come out and lead. He's going to bet 50. Well, Joe's got pocket 8s. He's got a pair. He's got a gut shot to the 6 here.
What you got, 10 jack?
Is he going to get involved? No, he's out of there.
10 jack?
Sean is out with jack 8.
Good hand, my friend. Good hand. Earlier?
And I assume that everyone's probably going to get out of here, and they do.
I know what you have, and I know he's behind us.
Mark is going to take it down there with the ace-9.
You can look it up later. I'm not even going to ask, because I already... I can only ask one time. I can't ask you 7 times.
What's that?
I don't care. I'm just up.
Button moves over here to
Oh, you didn't straddle?
Pocket 8s, man.
seat number 6, Dr. Allen.
Should have straddled and come around and made it 7-5. It's perfect.
And two people have ace-queen here. Chester from up front's got ace-queen offsuit. He's going to make it 35 to go. Dr. Allen's got ace-queen suited on the button.
I respect your 7s.
So I assume that Dr. Allen's going to at least call here. Zach has got pocket 8s in seat 5.
That's a good hand. Lay it down.
He calls. And Dr. Allen's going to call.
Dude. But no,
Be
they
there.
were just going to call
Be
it
there.
a call.
Now Vaughn, yeah, he's going to come in with a pretty speculative hand from up front. Not so keen on Vaughn's pre-flop hand selection. And we're going to see 4-way action here for about 140 bucks. And look at that. Zach's hit a set of 8s. And this is 2 times that this guy has hit sets. But again, nobody else has anything. Chester's going to bet 100 here. He's going to lead into 3 other people with ace-queen. And Zach is going to min-raise here again. But once again, nobody has anything. And Chester is going to easily get away from this hand. Wait a minute. Did Chester call? Wow, Chester called with ace-queen. Maybe he thinks he's got ace-queen of clubs. The turn's a 7. And now Chester's going to bet 100. I think he's trying to represent clubs. And now Zach is going to move all in. And now Chester's got himself in a quandary where if he thinks his 2 overs are good, he might have to call here. I mean, we're going to have to do some pot math out here. I mean, the pot now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 plus 330. It's about an $1,100 pot, about 330 for Chester to call. I don't think he's getting the odds here. He gets away from it.
Oh, man, he tested the water twice.
Zach shows the set of 8s. I don't really know what Chester was up to on that hand. Ballsy just to fire right into 3 people there when you don't hit anything from up front.
Homeland Security, $10. Test the water.
Ballsy play. Button moves over here to seat 7. Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Oh, why would you say
Those on the East Coast, it's the day after Memorial Day.
Get your taste.
Again, I want to encourage everybody to go over and read my French Open What the Fuck thread over in Sporting Events. And anybody that joined us late to the show, I said I smoked I smoked a small amount of salvia. I watched the last hand of the WPT, LA Poker Classic on TiVo on Saturday, and rocked my world. Limped around there.
15 more.
That's
I didn't even know what poker was, believe me.
There's one sweet in the call. I already called once, so.
Vaughn is going to raise it here to 15 out of the blind with king queen off suit.
She pulled in the original bet. You're right. You're absolutely right.
dude, you guys can
15 more.
Joe is called.
You got the brain.
custom flop, baby, custom flop.
Yeah, it's 20.
Four-way action here.
5
Bingo.
Five-way action. 6-4-5 with a couple of hearts. Well, Chester's got top set here.
All right, check.
Vaughn checked. I assume Chester's going to put some money out here. He's going to bet 100 here. And again here, no one can call. I don't think anyone has anything. Joe's got deuce 4. He's got middle pair. He's got a gut shot to the 3. He's out of there. And I got to tell you, if Vaughn had come out and bet, say, 30, Chester was 100% going to raise there.
What a player. Muscle on the table.
And Chester/Joe there takes it down, seat 1. Got a little under 20 minutes left in the show. Unfortunately for us, Kyle Glass, maybe he's still in the tournament.
I'm gonna look online. I'm gonna find out what that was. I want to know if my floor.
Or maybe he just decided to go. But he said he was a big fan of the show, and I'm sure he'll be back to play, maybe even in a bigger game.
live.
Thinking my deuce 4 was good.
Yeah, it would be cool if he brought Jack Black with him too, huh? That'd be awesome. Yeah, we can help him promote his new movie. Butt moves over here to seat 8.
Straddle, huh?
I have a feeling that Isaac was a big fan of Tenacious D. Yes.
Doobie doobie doo.
You feeling it?
Little straddle here again by Sean.
City 6?
And we get a raise here on the button. Joe's going to make it 60 to go with 6-10 off suit.
If there was another caller, brother, I'd call. Man. Take it down. Do it for the home team. I was suited connected, bro.
I probably had one over on you.
Yeah, you did. 9-7 down.
I'm taking now 30 bucks.
That was a good move, bro. Nice move. If I got one caller, I'm calling, man.
Button moves over here to seat 9.
Big man.
Straddle my button.
No. First call.
Whoa!
Pocket queens here for Dr. Allen. And he's going to make it 35 to go. And I assume he's going to take it down. And another suggestion for you out there, and I'll make this suggestion to Isaac too. Do it with a sitter the first time. A sitter, somebody to help you, because I almost freaked out a little bit. And I had smoked that stuff before too. Again, this is nothing illegal that I'm talking about. It's perfectly legal. You can buy it in any store. Hey, look at that high mom. But don't do it alone. Button moves over here to seat 1. Joe's got pocket 7s here in seat 8. Got a little $20 raise here by seat number 7 with ace 10 off suit. a call here by Joe, a call by the button, who's got 8-6 of clubs, Chester. And we are going to see four-way action here. It's an $80 pot. Well, 7-5-3. Here we got another set here. This time it's for Joe and seat 8. He's got top set. And once again, nobody has anything. Now, Chester's got an open-end straight draw over there with 6-8 on the button. Dr. Allen is going to come out and bet. Boy, this is the story of the small bet with absolutely nothing into a $130 pot. We've seen it like 5 or 6 times tonight. It's a $35 bet. I assume that Joe is going to raise it up here a little bit.
The ones that are like hand wrapped in the leaf, big fat one.
He does. He's going to make it 185. That's a good pot size raise. Now there's 2 spades out here. Obviously, if Chester's hand was 8-6 of spades, he might just push all in here. I don't know what Dr. Allen is thinking about here. Is he thinking about calling with nothing here out of position? He's got nothing. As you can see, Joe is a 95% favorite to win this hand. Dr. Allen's going to get out of there. And there it is, shows the set. So we've seen several sets flop, but no one's really made a lot of money with them, which sometimes often happens with sets because the other person who's been raising pre-flop didn't flop anything. They don't have the overpair. Say they raise with pocket queens, and you called with pocket fours, and the flop came ace, king, 4. Do you think you're going to make any money there? Or how about if they raise with pocket kings and the flop comes ace, 4, 8? You're not going to really win that much money there. So again, it's a combination of a lot of things that you need to have happen to win a lot of money there with your set.
You cannot in the box.
Again, you can become our friend on MySpace, myspace.com. Hey, I want to thank everyone for voting on that poll that we started. We got like 60 different responses over on Friday night's thread regarding did Barry Woods make a shitty call, a lucky call, or a good call against Corporation Mike with pocket 10s. We actually also had someone also started a poll about who is the better player, Mike or Barry, and Mike got about 75% there. But a lot of responses. Ace King here for seat 8. Zach has got Ace Queen. And I believe that, did Joe just limp in there? Joe limped in. Yeah, Joe limped in. I think Allen raised it with 8-5 offsuit. Seat 5 called, and so did Joe. So 8-5 offsuit is the pre-flop raiser. But now he checks. I think that was what the action was, and it gets checked around. Turns a jack. Ace-King has still got the best hand here. And now it gets checked to Zach, and now he's going to bet 100. Turn was a jack of spades.
Waste of $40.
It's a $100 bet here.
Nice bet, sir.
And he's going to take it down. Ace Queen there with the bet at the end. Takes it down.
It's a queen?
I'm going to be mad. You have pocket queens?
Not quite.
Queen calls. You don't
Well, you queen deuce?
Button moves over here to seat
No
4.
way you call $40 a queen deuce.
Should it, maybe?
I don't know.
No.
What do you have?
Final ship count here of the night coming.
He didn't go over the top.
So we started with almost about 4,700. Now we've got over 7,000, almost 7,000 on the table. Dr. Allen is still leading the table here with 1,200. Let's take a look at the differences.
I should have tossed it when you raised.
$700 win there for Dr. Allen. Vaughn's up 600. Zach's up 575. Sean is down 300. Got about 10 minutes left in the show. I want to throw something out at you. It looked like somebody actually emailed us through MySpace. If you want to email us a question that we could use for the Inside Straight or the video blog, can you email us, please, at liveatthebike.com? It's going to get too confusing if people send us hand questions through MySpace. So do that for me, please. Seat number 8 is going to raise to 65. He's got pocket jacks.
There's another chair gambler. Oh, I'm out, bro. There. Don't let me.
I don't know what Zach's got ace rag suited here, not a... Yeah, he's not going to get involved with it. And Joe is going to take it down here with the jacks.
You gotta get rid of that. That's nasty, dude. Jacks get cracked. That was a good range, bro. I don't like staying without aces either, dude. Aces don't do a darn thing. I'll make it a heavy.
I just don't want jacks to win.
I'd rather have jacks and aces any day of the week. Just give me play all day with them.
Okay. I'll take aces.
Button's going to move over here to seat 5.
All day.
I'll take aces every hand.
Had him crack 5 times in the 500 game within an hour and 40 minutes. 5 times. 5 aces.
And we get time for a few more hands here tonight. Hope you enjoyed me doing a little solo mission. Dave will be back tomorrow. We'll probably be doing some sort of no limit, either this game or a 5-10 game, depending on the amount of people that are here and such. Limped around here.
Donna, you guys buying?
And we're going to see, looks like three-way action. We had a little raise here by Dr. Allen with Queen 8 out of the small blind. Well, I don't know. Well, he checks it. Mark is going to come out and bet 40. I think Mark actually might have been the pre-flop raise. I'm not sure. Zach is going to min raise here with Queen 9. He's hit top pair. Is Mark going to continue on here with 6s? Is Mark going to continue on here with 6s? He's going to make the call. There isn't a whole lot that he can beat out there. Turns a deuce. Queen 9 is still good here. And see if Zach's going to put a little pot control bet here on the turn and maybe just check it down on the river for a free showdown. But look at this, though. Mark's going to move all in from up front. And Zach is going to call him. And this pot is going to be over maybe $400. A bet by Mark, a raise by Zach, a call. Then Mark moves it on the river, and Zach calls. And the river's a 4. That's got to probably not be a great pain. Yeah, Zach probably doesn't even think he has the winner, but he does. Queen 9 is going to take it down there. Wow.
4-7, man.
I own you with deuce 4.
Yeah, you do, man.
There it is.
Right now, bro.
Nicely played, I guess. Queen 9 takes down a big hand, a monster hand. Button's going to move over here to seat 6, Dr. Allen.
What'd you show?
You rack?
No, I was kidding. Thanks, though. Well, if he's going to give me all his chips, yeah. I'll take one.
And it looks like seat 7's going to rebuy here.
Man, no, you're like a follower.
He's going to buy in for 300 more.
Stay out of your way.
Dr. Allen has the button. A limp here by Chester. Deuce 5 of clubs from up front. Tough hand to play out of position, obviously. This is somewhat of a passive table. It looks like this one might get limped around here. And here we go to the flop. Jack 3-6 here. Dr. Allen on the button. He's got Jack 7. He's got top pair. But Vaughn is going to come out. He's going to bet with absolutely nothing once again. He bets 20 with ace 5. Allen is going to call. And Joe is going to overcall. Joe is outkicked right now with the Jack deuce. Turns a 10. This one might get checked around, but Vaughn's going to bet at it again. But the only problem with Vaughn's bets are they're so small. He's going to bet 50 here. He's bet either 40 or 50. 40. And I don't think Dr. Allen's going anywhere. And the problem, the quagmire for Joe, is if Dr. Allen is calling with the flush draw, and you put Vaughn on nothing like he's been betting the whole time, might you fold the best hand? Well, now Allen folds. Joe asks him, do you have Jack 10? And Joe's going to call. So is Vaughn going to make a big bluff here at the river? He needs to catch an ace here. Well, the river's a 10. Check. And Vaughn's going to need to put in a pretty hefty bet here. I mean, the pawn is about 200.
75.
He bets 75. All Joe has is a bluff catcher here. That's it. He only has a bluff catcher. 75, the pot is now about 275, 75 to call. If Joe has been paying attention, problem is I don't necessarily know if Vaughn's hands have been shown down all that much. And he makes the call. And the jack is good. Email here by Randy Race. He said, you guys have mentioned something about running it twice or running it again on the river or something like that. Could you explain that, please? Well, Randy, you and everyone else can check out liveatthebike.com. Click over on As Seen on Live at the Bike, and explains running the river multiple times. And it also explains other terms that you might not necessarily be familiar with that we might use on the show. Bank rules for requirements for propping. That's up there. Expected value, four flush, implied odds, live straddle, overcalls, racks playing, running the river multiple times, stop and go are some of the things that are over there. So check it out. Yeah, Corporation Mike's name is not over there yet, but I think that we're going to add it over there since that is one of the most commonly asked questions. Looks like this one is going to be limped around. Igor does not bring it in here with ace-queen. 7-4-3 here with a couple of spades.
25.
Joe's got 6-7 here in seat 8. He's going to come out and bet 20. Well, let's see here. Was it Vaughn? I think it was Vaughn that bet 25 here.
He just limped in.
Now, seat number 2 is going to call with 3-5. Sean. I don't know what Sean's looking to hit with a 2 flush out there. You've got like 4 people behind you. Now, Igor's folded the ace-queen. Alan's got queen-9. He's got absolutely nothing. And Joe in seat 8, he's still in the hand over there with 6-7. He's got the best hand.
I won't try to rob.
He's going to make the call.
3 times.
Three-way action here to the turn. The turn's a jack. 6-7 checks.
25.
Vaughn bets 25 here. Sean calls again. And I think Joe's going to call again. Alan is on the hand. There we go. And this pot is over $125 now. And the river is a deuce, and 6-7 is going to win this. This is almost comical how these hands have been playing out so far tonight. I think Sean knows that he's going to have to bet to win this. And how much is he going to bet? He's going to bet 130. I like that bet. He can represent 5-6 here. I think he knows there's no way he's got the best hand. The only problem is if somebody thinks that he's betting on missed spades, you know, you might think that Sean was just calling with spades in between. Joe's not going to get involved there. And Vaughn is not going to. That's a nice bet there by Sean. Obviously, he knows his hand is not going to be good there in a showdown.
We just gave it to him. You could have totally missed his pay draw.
Email here by Terrence Riley. Top of the evening, guys. These guys need to learn to slow play when they flop a monster. They listen to you guys too much, and it shows when you don't make any money when you flop a set with a non-scary board. Sometimes you want that guy to bluff off his money and put him to the test on the river when it comes rag-rag. Well, Terrence, I couldn't really necessarily disagree with you more.
40.
Got a $40 raise here by seat 2. Like I said, in this case tonight, it just happens to be the sets have not been up against anything. You think that guy, if he raises with ace king and the flop comes ace, king, the flop comes king, deuce, 8, all rainbow, he bets out the flop and you min raise him, you think he's going to go anywhere? It just happens to be that nobody really caught anything. I mean, yeah, you can do that at times with aggressive players, but who's aggressive here that's going to keep betting into you with nothing? I mean, yeah, Vaughn's been making $40 bluffs at $300 pots, but still. We had a raise here by Sean, I believe, with ace-king. And the flop comes out 8-9-6, and Mark's got top 2. And Mark checked top 2. That is amazing. How do you count on the button to bet there? Joe bets, Sean calls with ace-king, and Mark gets the check raise. I mean, should you slow play that board too on the cutoff? When the guy who raised was from up front, do you really think the guy in the button is going to bet? Can you count on him betting there? Even if there was a button raiser on that flop, a lot of people check ace-king there on the button. That is just too coordinated of a board to get the free card out. It doesn't matter if someone has a 7 or not. If a 5 or a 10 come, you will not make any more money on the hand. That's the problem with it. And this is going to be the last hand of the night. Now, if Mark actually bets out there on the flop, he might be able to build a pot up because Joe might call him with ace-deuce. Again, Matt Hunt has emailed us about what is a straddle. You can look over at Live at the Bike, as seen on Live at the Bike, liveatthebike.com. Check it out. Last hand of the night. Buttons moved over here to Vaughn in seat 9. Limp, limp. Yeah, we should change that page to what is a live straddle, or why is Corporation Mike called Corporation Mike? Six-way action limped around ace 8-7 here. Nobody has an ace. Looks like Chester's got the best hand here with bottom pair. Vaughn is going to bet 25 here with absolutely nothing.
That's just me, bro.
I don't know if Chester can continue on here with 5 people behind him. He makes the call.
Bro, that's your upper lip.
And this one's going to get heads up. And now how is Chester going to play it now? Heads up against Vaughn, who has been bluffing tonight a lot. Well, the turn's a 9. Now Chester's got 2 pair. Let's see how he plays it. He's going to bet 100. I think he's hoping that Vaughn is bet out here on an ace. And Vaughn is not going to get involved. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed. Memorial Day version of Live at the Bike will be back here tomorrow. Oh, I forgot David's not here. There we go. We'll be back here tomorrow with, again, probably 3 to 5 no limit or 5-10 no limit, uncapped max. For everybody here in the booth, I'm Bart Hansen. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody, from Live at the Bike.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the Bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.